At news after the game on Sunday.
Quinn Sean had an ankle dislocation, fractured his fibula. Obviously very disappointed for the young man. He will bounce back. I have zero doubt about that. Obviously you never want to see that with any of your guys. He'll get surgery. He'll be back in no time. I know that.
In 14 games this season, Judkins running for 827 yards, 7 touchdowns. Cleveland.com reports Judkins will likely need 4 to 5 months to recover following surgery. In the AFC North, Steelers in Detroit taking on the Lions on Sunday late in the game. It appeared that Pittsburgh blew its chance to win in the Motor City until the yellow flag came out.
Goff in the shotgun, gets the snap, rolling out to the right, looking, has a man wide open. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown, and the Lions have taken the lead on a short touchdown pass. There is a flag in the end zone. Let's see what the call is going to be. Oh, the signal is this could be offensive pass interference. Clearly, this would be
pass interference. Number 18, offense. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Wow.
That courtesy Steelers Radio. Pittsburgh hangs on for the 29-24 victory and now leads the AFC North by 2 games over the Ravens because last night Baltimore lost to New England 28-24. Drake May passed for 380 yards, 2 touchdowns. New England in the playoffs. Meanwhile, for the Ravens, Lamar Jackson missed the second half of the game because of a bruised back. And the Bengals yesterday beat the Miami Dolphins 45-21. Joe Burrow passed for 309 yards and 4 touchdowns. Don't miss the Browns preview show, followed by Monday Night Football. All starts out at 7 o'clock right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next, time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
Allen, the snap, the give, the touchdown. Ty Johnson practically untouched. Waltzing into the end zone. 41-yard field goal with Miles screaming off the right edge is up, and it is good. Gets inside that left upright. Miles almost got a hand on it.
This is Cleveland's Sports Radio. 92.3 The Fan.
Allen back to throw. Allen running away and sacked by Carson Schwessinger. 4th down.
Frustrated, want to close out, want to get a win versus a good football team at our place, and we didn't do it at the end, so that's the frustrating part. Love how the team fights, which I'm not surprised. That's who those guys are. So we'll look at it, we'll learn from it, and we'll get ready for next week.
The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima. This is Cleveland's Sports Radio. 92.3 The Fan.
Audio courtesy of the UH Browns Radio Network. Good morning, Tone.
Morning, Kenny.
All right, what do we think? Because I'm not mad. I don't think it's a moral victory or anything, but I'm not mad. I'm kind of in this weird, there's a lot of big picture stuff going on here, Tone. There's a lot of things that it's just bigger than this game that came out before the game, and we'll get to that coming up more at 6:40. I think there's a lot of people who are thinking about the future of this franchise. I'm not going to plant a flag. I think I'm as open to, I'll admit this much, though. I think I'm as open to Shador staying and being the quarterback in 2026 as I've ever been.
The starting quarterback?
The starting quarterback in 2026. I think I'm more open to it than I've ever been.
And you're saying you feel better about that after yesterday than you did before yesterday?
I don't feel worse. Why?
It was just such a blah, dink and dunk extravaganza. I guess
I thought he moved the offense as best he could.
He definitely moved the offense.
So what's the problem?
That it was not what he's been known for. He's been known for testing secondaries, giving receivers a chance down the field, and that pinpoint accuracy down the field. And yesterday we saw none of that. It was a total, basically the Bills were dropping, it felt like 11 guys on every play, and the underneath was open. They took the underneath. They took it until he got sacked 2 times in the game.
Well, I saw something different. Let's open up the phone lines, by the way. I don't know how to do it myself, but let's get that done. 216-474-0092. I felt that I felt that there was a lot of blitzes. I wrote down a lot of blitzes in my notes. I took notes again. I won't be able to take notes next week because we'll be there, but I took notes again. I have a lot of blitzes here, but I thought that if they're going to take it away, there's no point of forcing the issue that you don't want to force.
It's always a balance. Like, it can't be my mind is made up beforehand that this is going to be the way things go. Yesterday, I guess, was the ADOT. Remember, we heard a lot about ADOT when Dylan Gabriel was the quarterback, about depth of target. And the difference had been all season that Shador was the bigger ADOTs. He was throwing the ball down the field when the dink and dunk guy, and he was heavily ridiculed for it, was Dylan Gabriel. Yesterday, he averaged 2.2 air yards per attempt. That's the lowest ADOT for any Browns quarterback in 20 years.
Yeah.
Since they've been even keeping track of it. So,
I guess I'm going to get killed today because I didn't think it was a terrible performance overall.
I don't. Well,
maybe I'm wrong.
The interceptions were a huge blow, obviously, because
it's going to make everything look bad.
It's not. It looks bad. I mean, interceptions are bad. They come in many different forms and varieties. What did you think of the first one?
I thought the first one was definitely on him. It was low, or excuse me, it was behind Quinn Sean Judkins and high. J.J. Watt, I thought J.J. Watt did a pretty good job yesterday. J.J. Watt specified that during the game. I thought that was going to be on Shador, and I put it on Shador. But I didn't come away feeling worse about Shador.
What did you think of the second interception?
I thought the second interception, I think the second interception was probably on Shador, yes.
Yeah, they were reading his Bosa.
So they were both on him.
What a play. He spoiled the safety valve. I think it was Fannin. He knocked him silly and then kept his eyes, and basically he was just reading Shador's eyes the entire time, got his hands on it, and then that led to the deflection interception.
I thought that, but overall, I thought that he did a fair enough job. I'd give it a C+. I didn't think it was, I'm sorry, I just did not, I felt better about him moving the offense down the field than I felt about the big bombs to Isaiah Bond, because I don't believe that if you're not moving the offense and all you're doing is throwing big bombs like you did last week, that's not an offense.
That's not not something that's sustainable.
But they got down 10, and I really thought when they were down 10, things were going to start to come off the railings there, and they didn't. And I felt better about him and better about the chances of him staying moving forward after that game. And I can't deny my feelings. I know what I saw on Saturday with Dante Moore, and I know that that's going to be a big conversation piece moving forward, not just him, but Fernando Mendoza. But I also felt that, gosh, I saw what he did. I thought that he kept his composure. The pinky thing, because anytime there's a possibility of him getting hurt, my heart sinks, because I want to see him. Good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. Great, I want to see him. So anytime he gets hurt, like he came off the field, I'm like, oh, geez. And of course, the fans... We got to talk about booing Dylan Gabriel, because they were right there after Dylan Gabriel, right when he came in.
Which I don't get why that's still happening.
Well,
that's kind of bizarre to me.
All right, well, then we got to ask later why they're booing Dylan Gabriel, because I have a reason why, and you might just think it's just because it's Dylan.
Like, if they draft a rookie quarterback, is he going to get booed next year too? Like, would Mendoza be getting booed because he's not Shador?
No.
So why is Dylan getting booed
I'll tell you right now. I think that people believe that he was Kevin Stefanski's pick. Kevin Stefanski is not a popular figure amongst Cleveland Browns fans.
When you boo Stefanski, why would you boo the quarterback? I think
that's what they're doing. You can't just stand there and boo the whole game. People won't know who you're booing. But when Dylan Gabriel comes in, I think that people are booing Kevin Stefanski and believe that they're booing Kevin when Dylan comes out there. They
have all game to boo Kevin. I don't know why they need to take it out on when your quarterback gets injured, the backup comes in. See, that almost permeates that whole idea that who else gets to play quarterback here if the guy that's not Shador is getting booed.
I'm just giving you my reasoning for it. You can say it's a bad reason.
You understand the problems that can arise with that. Understood. And the conversations we're going to be having about that.
216-474-0092. Shador in the post game. Well, he answered your questions. He was asked a question about why there were a ton of checkdowns. Here's what Shador had to say. Here's what Shador had to say. Sanders 03, please. Okay, 216-474-0092.
It's really just building off last week. It's building off getting to the checkdowns. When you see it, pull it, take it. Playing in rhythm, like all those different things, like lurking. And I learned and I proved to myself I can do that. That's an aspect of my game that I got to be more consistent with, but I can see that. And like even the last drive, for example, I was telling them like during the game, like I respect their defense. I respect kind of like their coaching and how it was, because if you understand, it was kind of like that Mike Backer running, walling, taking that middle, because we had a through route. a vertical route from the inside. Then we had a dagger coming. And I'm like, okay, cool. I got the dagger, but then he peeled off and then was waiting on that dagger. So by the time I went, then it was just hard to get back down. I ran out of time. So that's just like, in those situations, it's like you got to tip your cap to them. Like, that's the whole why. That's the ideal coverage you want a dagger in. You know what I'm saying? Anything else, we would have got to the check down. We would have got to there quicker. But that's the why of you didn't just take that quick completion, because it was there, but that's good coaching.
Man, you're hearing this. There's a lot of learning going on while he's out there on the field. There's a lot of things that he's anticipating. And I will take completions. Give me short completions for this incubation period over long misses or long interceptions, for crying out loud. I mean, I'd rather have a nice, close football. I don't want to lose. And there's no moral victory in all this. I don't want to lose. But give me a close game against a much better football team than trying to roast the ball down the field and having a bunch of and getting blown out. I'd much rather have yesterday. I mean, if I'm going to lose and I can pick the way I'm going to lose, I'd rather lose like I did yesterday than compared to the week before.
I don't think it has to be either or, though, and I think that's maybe part of the problem right now is he's kind of the defenses are manipulating what he's going to do, and when the defenses are totally manipulating what you're going to do, I mean, really, we had two big drives, right? We had the scripted drive to start out, which was good. I mean, that was great execution, waltz down the field and everything. And then the other drive at the end of the third quarter was just they ran the ball. It was they were just gashing that Buffalo defense. But that's it. His drives were just he took what the defense gave him, and then they either stalled out with interceptions or they didn't get anything.
But I don't hate that the drives that they drove. I'm not saying that he should be the guy yet. I'm not pointing that out. I think it's just way too early. I'll probably wait until after the college football playoff to make any sort of declaration about that. If you end up with number 1 or number 2 overall, I think it's a big time conversation. If you end up outside the top 2, I think I might just be willing to stick. Knowing that
and no bridge quarterback. You
can have. I mean, your bridge quarterback's on your football team right now. Deshaun Watson's your bridge quarterback.
We talk so much about Mac Jones, and now there's going to be other obviously those types of guys depending on their contract.
Mac Jones is going to be cheap as far as contracts are concerned, but he is going to cost you picks. He's going to they're going to say, well, you're only paying $4 million for Mac Jones, so you're going to give us some picks.
Based on what I have seen, I cannot fathom a world where they just come back next year and it's Deshaun and Shador. I don't know what coach would be excited about that. I don't know how the fans would be excited about that. That to me has 3 to 4 wins written all over it.
But I think that you have 3 to 4 wins written all over it anyway. I don't. There's no way. I don't believe there's any way at all that we're going to infuse a Jaden Daniels type of season next year into the Cleveland Browns, where they end up going to the AFC Championship. If they got to the NFC Championship game, it'd be a hell of a thing for the Browns. But I can't see them getting to an AFC Championship game next year. I think that this is going to be pulling teeth no matter what. And so it's just of.
So you don't believe that quarterbacks can make that big of a difference.
I believe quarterbacks
the way
can.
that Jaden did last year, or CJ Stroud did when he came in.
I think it's rare. It's rare.
How about Shook? Tyler Shook has been playing
he's done well.
Playing his butt
They
off.
also played the Jets yesterday. I think
I've
it's
seen
rare.
us play a bunch of bad teams and not be able to do what he did.
I think it's rare, and the Saints aren't going to the playoffs. I think it's rare, and I don't think that you're going to be. And I think it's becoming rarer and rarer that you're going to find that guy that can make that immediate impact. Now, I disagree with a lot of people's reasoning on it, where they go, "Well, this quarterback class isn't that good." Now, you said that about the 2025 class too. And I have a feeling if you
our fans say that every year.
I have a feeling if you
they
said
say every year ahead of time that it's going to be a good class.
Well, there you go.
And then when they're actually faced with maybe taking one, which we never do, we've been one of the few teams that actually, outside of Baker, in 20 plus years, somebody put it up yesterday, we've actually done it less than almost 90% of the league.
And I agree with you. And I think that so many people, they are getting themselves ready for 2027 already, and I think you guys will just talk yourselves out of that. That, I'm with you. I can tell you're frustrated by what I'm saying to you, because you can't believe that I saw something that you didn't see.
Well, because I thought we all agreed at the start of the year, whether it was going to be Dylan Gabriel or Shador, it was going to be very tough for a 3rd or a 5th round pick, especially with how bad most people did think the Browns were going to be. And by the time we got to them, it was like, oh my God, with the Flacco disaster at the start of the season, it was like, all right, season seems over. Now it's just about seeing whether or not we take these quarterbacks or reserve a spot for a quarterback at the top of the draft. Well, lo and behold, we're sitting here today with the third pick in the draft. Vegas plays the Giants ahead of us. There's a scenario. I mean, if we just lose the next two, and we are underdogs, obviously, against Pittsburgh, who's going to want that game big time to fend off Baltimore once and for all in the division, that we could end up with the second overall pick.
I understand.
In the draft.
And you're going to have a big-time conversation.
So didn't we say at the start of the year, it's got to be so unequivocal. Like either Shador or Dylan Gabriel have to play. The bar is going to be so tough.
But we also have...
And there's no chance anybody could realistically say that Shador or Dylan have played to that bar to make you forget about drafting a quarterback if you had a top three pick.
They have not yet, but I think we have the benefit of new information.
Which is?
Let me give you the new information here, is... I see these two quarterbacks. I really like Fernando Mendoza. I will not lie to anybody on that.
Them turn in the card,
Dante,
man. Do whatever it takes.
You got to have number one, and I don't know if I'm willing to give up everything to go up to number one to go after Fernando Mendoza. Let me finish the statement here. I know you want to press my buttons.
Ken.
Oh, you want to help me out?
Yeah, it sounds like you need some help here.
Help it with what?
Because I can't believe what I'm hearing. The Ken Carman, who agreed with me all year that this was a tough bar, you were going to have to play so well, and then you're like, he hasn't really played that well, but I'm not going to turn in the card, even though I love Fernando Mendoza. It's like, none of that computes. None of that's logically coherent.
No. I said it was going to be hard, and I think that there's been times where he's played well. I also think that he started this season behind the 8 ball, and it's not because I'm afraid. Let me make this specifically clear. The reason I'm starting to feel this way, you're not gonna trick me into saying something I don't mean. But the reason I'm starting to feel this way is about him, not because of my fear of the other quarterbacks. It's more about him. I want to see more of him. I want to see more of him with this football team, and not necessarily give up on him. Because when you get a number 1 overall pick or a number 2 overall pick, that's exactly what you're going to do. He goes away. That's it. I'm more willing because of him, not because I'm afraid of quarterbacks, because I've accused a lot of people of being afraid to take the quarterback. I'm still with you on that, but I feel more confident about Shador based on things that I've seen here recently. 216-474-0092. So are you more open with me? Lima can't believe it. I have a feeling I'm going to fight this fight all morning. I'm more open to him. Are you more open to him? Or are you like, Ken, what did you see? I'm open to that criticism. Ken Carman, Tone Master General, take us with you to work on the absolutely free Odyssey app.
Hey, football.
This report is brought to you by Wayside Furniture in Akron, keeping it local since 1937.
Stop by Wayside Furniture's year-end furniture clearance with unbelievable savings for every room in your home. 1367 Canton Road, just south of Route 224, Wayside in Akron. Keeping it local since 1937.
There's Cavs and there's NBA news that happens while you at work. Baskin and Phelps, weekday mornings starting at 10.
Oh, the dangerous one's getting dangerous later on in the show. Yes, dangerous. Daryl Ryder will join us around 8:20. And Lima Likes at 7:45. Yes, Tone.
I undersold the Shador performance. I want to apologize.
Oh, wait a minute. You did 15 minutes with me and now you're going to... Okay.
I feel guilty. All
right, what's your sarcasm?
I feel this is serious because
no, you're being sarcastic.
Last week I put out a chart that had a lot of impressions. Which was that Shador, out of 44 qualified quarterbacks, was dead last in almost every big statistical analytical metric except one, which J.J. McCarthy was dead last. So that was out of 44. This week, he's moved up. We need the, who's our guy from The Price is Right, the yodeler.
We need the yodeler.
We need the yodeler music.
He's lost in the. He might be back tomorrow. The yodeler he's lost out there in the ether right now.
So believe it or not, with
she got the yodeler. Up we go.
I thought he'd be suspended in animation.
Do it. Got to say it now.
So yesterday, Shador with his 157 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interception performance, he moves. Out of 40 qualified, because I upped it to now 200 plays or more after this.
Oh, my gosh.
He moved up in the world, surging ahead of Dylan Gabriel in the EPA plus CPOE composite. Dylan Gabriel out of 40 qualified quarterbacks is 40th. Number 39 is Shador Sanders. Let's go to adjusted EPA per play. He is still in the cellar at number 40th. Let's go to EPA per play. He's still in the cellar at 40th. Success rate, ladies and gentlemen, Shador has leapfrogged Dylan Gabriel. Dylan is now 40th out of 40, but Shador Sanders is 39.
Are you done yet?
Finally, now we have some titanic movement, and this is what you look for when you start to truly assess the quarterback. CPOE. Shador Sanders jumped 2 quarterbacks this week, so he's out of the basement where he was 40th. He now is 38th ahead of J.J. McCarthy and 40th Dylan Gabriel. What a rough week for Dylan Gabriel, and one has to ask, did the boos get to Dylan Gabriel on that one snap, and did that cause his plummet down to the basement in 2 different statistical categories as far as the analytics go?
You feel good about yourself? I'm glad you buttered me up because I was so happy that the yodeler was here, and then you did that. So I'm glad you did that.
Hey, they call it moving day yesterday when it came to the cellar of the quarterback rankings.
I hate you dearly. 216-474-0092. Let's go to the phones. Are you open to having Shador in 22? Are you more open to having Shador in 2026? I am. There's some people who are absolutely, they are gobsmacked. They are dismayed that I would believe that about Shador. But let's go to the phone. Scott in North Carolina. You're first up on the fan. Hello.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing today?
Scott. Doing well, Scott. Go ahead.
I think we should most definitely keep Shador and build around him. We need some offensive linemen, and we need some receivers really bad.
Our receiving core is not good. Our offensive line is really bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, 68, number 68, I think his last name is Robertson. He really tanked.
Well, there was Cam Robinson and KT Levinson. Can I say this? And I didn't want to tweet it yesterday, and I said I would. KT Levinson is playing like a first-rounder. If that first-rounder is Jed Wills. He is playing to a Jed Wills level where I'm going, we didn't miss anything. It's amazing. We didn't skip a beat. We're getting false starts every game. Mm-hmm. We're getting weird penalties every game. I'm like, well, this is amazing. This is laser eyes work right here. Yes, Scott.
Hey, Ken, it would have been a different game if we had that field goal. We'd be talking about some overtime play. What do you think?
I was sitting there. I'm glad you brought that up, Scott. Thank you very much for the call. Like that one, like
you're saying special teams cost us in the game.
Well, okay, but this is different. This was a hold, and Corey Bajorquez has done well his entire life. So if we're giving up bundles of yards on punt returns and kick returns, I look at it and I go, there you are. That's my problem. But if we're bumbling snaps and things like that, if it happens once or it's a missed field goal, I think we've learned a lot this year about that sort of thing. I hope so. And all I could do is I sit there, I was like, oh my God, we have a chance to kick a field goal here, could get something good going in. And then, of course, that happens. And I have my flip card because I accidentally left my notes in a different place and just... all I could think of was nothing is given and everything is earned, including easy field goals, including that.
It is unreal. I will say the offensive line.
Scott brought that up.
And the offensive line is that we could just face it. No matter who is standing back there as a quarterback, the offensive line, it is not going to be able to protect. You cannot hold the ball long with this offensive line, and it's tough because you want to be able to make plays, but unfortunately, this O-line's not going to allow it. They were good in the running game yesterday. I felt like since the Miami game, was that the best running game they've had all year?
This is.
Did they run it well in the Raiders game?
Gosh, I got to go back. That was a lot of beers ago.
A lot of this also was creative. They got creative in their running game. They were able to stretch the Bills. Now, the Bills came in, I think they were 30th or 31st against the run this year. So they have been very weak against the run. So this was a game you had to take advantage, and they did. I just thought that would lead to them being able to open up the play action game. And I think they even JJ Watt even said that on the broadcast. Like he expected them to be able to go to some play action a little more.
The reason I feel this way about Shador, and the reason I think you're surprised, is I feel that even though there were two bad interceptions, and in the first one I know people were wondering whether or not it was on Quinn Sean. I'll be on the record, I think it was on Shador. But the reason I'm decidedly more open to Shador playing than I ever was in 2026, starting in 2026, is because I think that he had more of a command over the offense. I think he had more of a command over the situation. And guys, we are 5 games into this, and I know you just gave me some numbers that are just absolutely dreadful. Okay, fine. I'm fighting you on that. We are 5 games into this. I really thought he might be lost. I was so concerned about the lack of time, preparation, reps, everything. And I think that it's not the best quarterback play I've ever seen, but I don't feel like this gut feeling of just horrific waste of time football the way I have with others, the way I have with even another quarterback this year. I have not got that feeling. We're 5 games in. There's a lot of things that have been on tape already through 5 starts for Shador Sanders. And I still feel that the offensive line isn't good. He dealt with the offensive line play. The wide receiver play is awful. He's dealt with the wide receiver play. Quinn Sean Judkins went down. I felt terrible about that. You know it's bad when CBS wouldn't even show it coming back from break, which I thought I saw something. I'm not even going to describe it to you because I think a lot of you guys probably saw the same thing because, boy, when you got the 4K and 8K from Extend Technologies, you see a lot. I think there's so many things going against him, and I think he's handling it better than I thought.
By the way, I agree with you.
You do.
I actually agree with you on.
Well, we're tiptoeing around an argument here, and I just don't want to. It's the holiday season. I don't want to start tooth and nail right now.
I'll be honest. I expected the Shador experience to be total disastrous. It's been better than that.
I thought it was going to be a Browns disaster.
Yeah, and it's not even
losses, but
it's not even a Shador thing. That was more of a Browns disaster. You're down to the 4th-string quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I expect them to just these games all to be blowouts, and it hasn't been. Shador has been better than I thought, but that's not the bar. The bar is not comparing him to the awful Browns quarterbacks of yesteryear, and the bar certainly, and I keep hearing this in other places, and I don't understand it, the bar is certainly not comparing him to Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel's not even a part of any of my math. Yeah. I don't ever bring up Dylan Gabriel. I'm not going to boo him. I think that's weird. And I think that just is nonsensical.
We'll talk about it again.
I don't even understand where that's coming from. It's not. Dylan seems like a great kid. What are you booing his girlfriend because she made a couple TikToks? Like, who are you booing?
We'll talk about it again later.
But outside of that, no, Dylan Gabriel is. I don't even know if he's a career backup, and I challenged people on that from the moment we took him. I don't even understand what the need to draft him was. They ended up getting Shador in the 5th, but just. For a lot of the conversations we've had, I almost wish he just would have taken Shador in the 3rd and just left off Dylan Gabriel completely.
We'd have more games. You'd be closer to knowing, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?
You'd have more of an evaluation. It'd still be tough because of the receivers, and now you lost your running back. Although they somehow ran the ball better Who were they handing the Raheem Sanders?
Rocket Sanders.
That's his second game this year. He played in the opener.
Williams, yes, which Travion Williams has been around the block. But, I mean, Rocket Sanders, I mean, you got him. That's been either guy. They were able to give you a little bit of a punch yesterday. Tony in Mansfield. Tony, go ahead. Tony.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, how you guys doing this morning?
We're doing well, Tony. Go right on ahead, friend.
Yeah, so first of all, the running game wasn't bad, but everybody's been able to run on the Bills this year. But
Yeah, but you know what, Tony, I got to tell you.
They still got to do it.
This is going to sound like moral victory stuff. There's been so many things that you should have been able to do against defenses this year that you haven't been able to do.
Yeah, for sure. And it was nice to see those two guys get us some yards. Now, when it comes to Shador, right, and drafting a quarterback, do we keep Shador? Ken, I'm going to have to kind of agree with you now. I hated the offense with the dink and dunk. But the problem is, and this is what I want to ask Tone, it's like, it's almost impossible to evaluate Shador because, we talk about all these other teams deal with certain issues, right? It's like, well, it's the league. Everybody deals with it. I watched every play, rewound it, and then watched the offensive line every play, and then the receivers. And our offensive line got destroyed. And we know this, right? But it was so god-awful. And then the wide receivers, it's like, you want to talk about like the Saints with Shook. It's like, even as bad as they are, right, they have Olave. Chris Olave is 2 times better than any receiver we have that Shador could count on to throw the ball to. So I don't think it matters who we have at quarterback. So it's kind of scary to me. It's like, do we want to, because we're going to be picking probably 3rd or 4th in the draft. I just don't think we can afford now. And do I think that Shador Sanders is the second coming and going to be our franchise quarterback? I don't know, right? But I don't think we're in the position to give up any more draft picks to try to move up to take a quarterback like Mendoza. I don't know. So and again, I'm not saying one way or the other. I just think it's so hard in the position we're in because it's like, do we have a bad wide receiver room? Yes,
Tony, I think
it's not just bad.
I just think it's okay on December. I just think it's okay in December to not be sure. I really do. Yeah. And I know that's not good for radio. I should make a damning thing and say it over and over and over again. And Tony, thank you for the call, but I think you're perfectly fine, and I think you represent a lot of people. I think there's a lot of people going, well, maybe,
I think everything
not.
He said was 100% fair. You didn't hear me jumping on him.
Well, no, but I know that you don't want to sit here and have our time wasted again by watching another quarterback go play well somewhere else and going, well, we just talked ourselves out of this guy, like we'll talk ourselves out of another guy.
Look,
I do see your point.
The beauty of that conversation is, man, you still have what could be at least 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 more high leverage games for the guy that we might be targeting in Mendoza. Mendoza's season's not over. So I don't understand how anybody has made up their mind not to take Mendoza. That makes no sense after the special year he had. My God, he won the Heisman and led Indiana to an undefeated number 1 overall ranking. Like that, if Shador Sanders did that, what would we be saying?
It'd be really exciting.
That's an all-time season for a quarterback in the Big Ten on a not Michigan, not Penn State, not Ohio State, not Oregon, not USC. It's insanity, but my mind's not made up. What I'm saying, though, is if you have him, like we've heard Dane Brugler said, I have him ahead of Cam Ward last year and the other quarterbacks. Todd McShay loves Mendoza. He has him ahead of where he had Cam Ward and those guys last year. If you have him as a top of the first round prospect, the way they label these guys, then, guys, that's what you do. You take those guys.
I understand.
But 100% of the time.
I also am trying to get myself mentally prepared for something else happening because there was another bit of information that dropped over this last weekend that we are going to get to in 5 minutes because I think thought partners should either be here together or be gone together. And it seems that the Browns are going to disagree. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, that and 5 on the Fan. Peter and Company Jewelers in Avon Lake. We are only a few.
Report is brought to you by Tri-C's Business Programs. Tri-C's business programs help you launch your business career. Choose from a variety of degree, certificate, and transfer options with flexible learning options and low-cost tuition. Learn more at tri-c.edu/business.
The changes be coming for this Browns regime. Don't miss a minute as breaking news could happen at any moment. And you'll hear it here first.
Delay of game, offense.
This is the radio home of the Cleveland Browns. 92.3 The Fan.
Rappaport writing earlier over the weekend, Sunday morning. Feeling pretty good about Andrew Berry staying, not as good about Kevin Stefanski staying. Which, boy, the way the report was there, I was like, I think he's already trying to say that Kevin Stefanski's as good as gone. Is that how you felt when reading it?
Yeah. Didn't it match the vibes, the feeling, the...
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are going to, good. Well, if you're keeping one of them, like, what are you going to hire as a head coach? Like, this is going to be an interesting thing here, because I think the Browns have invested a lot of time and a lot of effort into their plan, and I think that ownership never, ever, ever wants to go back to 2016. I think that they feel that they have been burned by the likes of Joe Banner in the past, and they never want to go back to the dark ages. Even though, boy, these times are pretty dim. They never want to go back to that. And I think that they are nervous, and I would be too, about hiring outsiders and trying to believe in plans all over again. So I think that they tend to go, and if you've seen their history, they tend to go, all right, one guy out, one guy bumps up. One guy out, one guy bumps up, and then another guy in. Like, that's what they do. And I'm thinking, all right, if you let go of Kevin Stefanski, what type of head coach are you going to get? If you keep Andrew Berry, what is that? Because are we making the best plan for the football team, or are we trying to keep our power? Whatever that may be. What are we trying to do there? And then there's the whole, let's call it down to this. I can talk about a house of cards all I want. It's basic, does the fan base trust him to make the picks? And I think that that's part of the reason where fans will look at it, and I hate arguing against fear. I hate being afraid myself, but you know damn well, if Andrew's still there, these quarterbacks are just off the board for Browns fans. I don't want you picking a quarterback. They don't really want him picking anybody.
He can pick linebackers.
And I've sat there and I've said, they got 9. When we've talked about what if they had number 1 overall, and I go, guys, they got 9 overall picks or 10 overall picks. They got 9 after that. You can go after all those guys, but man, there's a lot, I think, of distrust there. This last draft class looks pretty good. Now, you've tried to poke holes in it, and a lot of people have, trying to make the case against Andrew Berry. But I'm going, what are you really doing if you just move on from one and not the other? Is it just going to satisfy the Browns fans? Because I still think your same process, I'm still going to be worried about your same process of how you do things. And remember, they're the ones that love to argue about the process. And I go, yeah, the process eventually has to provide results. If the process doesn't provide results, then you have to question your process. I mean, you have to fall, it's weird, you have to fall in love with process to get results. But if you keep not getting those results, then yeah, you got to keep questioning what you're doing. And there's so many times where I just don't think they've questioned what they were doing. So you can get rid of Stefanski. Who are you replacing him with? And you can't just say anybody is better. No, you can do worse. You can. Hey, 6-26 over the last couple of years. I'm not arguing for that. I can't. It's impossible. 6-26 is awful over 2 years. But you could do just as bad and maybe even worse with somebody else. Because what does this team need? I think there's been talent on this team before over these last 6 years. What does this team need? This team needs leadership. This team needs leadership in the locker room. Well, if you can't get leadership in the locker room, you have to infuse it from somewhere else. Am I going to get that out of my coaching staff? So far, I haven't. And then the places that I have gotten leadership from, they've excelled in. We bitch and moan all the time about not having Bill Callahan. Now, I think that Mike Bloomberg's doing the best job he possibly can. I think it could be a lot worse on that offensive line, and it ain't good on that offensive line. But you brought in Garrett Dellinger 2 weeks ago, and then he was immediately let go. Like, that's what you've had to do if you're Mike Bloomgren. You've made these changes, but we complain about Bill Callahan all the time. Bill Callahan, yeah, he was a prickly person to that offensive line. They also played at a very high level. He also did not accept anything less than the best and got the best out of his players. We've had those guys before. As much as I dislike the guy, Kyle Shanahan is a hell of a coach and is able to motivate his guys and get the very best out of them. There is a professional approach that somehow the players just understand it. They understand that if you can't do it, they'll just find somebody else who can, because it's very much a job. And they respond to it. They have responded to it. They respond to it in San Francisco, and damn it, this offensive line in the past responded to it here. Because if you just let guys think they're going to walk all over you, they're going to walk all over you, and you're not going to get the results. So now I'm worried about if you leave Andrew Berry in there. I like Andrew personally, but do I trust him that much? The history says I can't.
And I hate to oversimplify it, because obviously I'm someone who talked pretty openly last year at the end of the year about moving on from everybody involved. Mm-hmm. And obviously then we had this year, and the only difference is that there are promising rookies. And, the Judkins thing just sucks all the way around. That is not something you ding Andrew Berry for at all. Sometimes guys get injured, and who knows? It looks like of all the scenarios, his injuries, it actually could have been way worse. But still, it's not good, and it's a question mark going into next season about how you're going to build that running back room, and what it's going to look like. With all that said, I've said this, and I've been pretty consistent, that just having a nice rookie class, and we debated how nice it was last week, but I don't want to bog it down. It's a good rookie class. Swessinger, maybe fading a little down the stretch. He's a rookie. You mentioned that last week, that a bunch of these guys may be close to hitting walls. But Mason Graham didn't have a great game yesterday, obviously, and you saw some things on the line that, maybe some nitty-gritty football later in the game.
Oh, I got some nitty-gritty for later on, too. Because I was getting texts about Miles, and I was like, no, you... the people texting me about Miles you usually wouldn't be comfortable in an argument with those type of folks, but I'll say it later on.
But just overall, one really, really nice rookie class out of 6 years. That, to me, does not overshadow or supersede the handling of the quarterback room this year, the no future planning on the offensive line, the no future planning in the wide receiver room, or being able to identify wide receivers in the draft, which has been a complete disaster for the GM. There's not enough. There's not enough on the resume of Andrew Berry for me to say that he gets to have his job, and maybe even he gets elevated with his job this year. There's just no way.
So I got to ask the people, 216-474-0092, if you believe that Andrew Berry is responsible for a mess, do you believe he should have the chance to dig out of this mess? Because if you don't, then I don't understand the point of just getting rid of one and not the other. 216-474-0092. I'll ask you guys that question coming up, and the dangerous one at 8:20 on The Fan. Northeast Factory Direct at northeastfactorydirect.com.
One conversation is if they can get Mendoza or more, I think they probably do that as opposed to Shador. Other than those guys, what are your other options? And so it does feel like on some level a year to really find out what you have in Shador.
Catch Odyssey NFL insider Ross Tucker on Afternoon Drive every Wednesday at 4. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Are you open to just having Andrew Berry here in 2025? I mean, you have to hire a new head coach, but of the two thought partners, one goes, one stays, and it looks like, according to Ian Rappaport, where he didn't come out and necessarily say this, but I read between the lines that way. You read between the lines that way. It seems that, according to what he wrote yesterday, Andrew Berry's going to be here. They said, well, they haven't made their decision on Kevin Stefanski just yet. And it's like, well, if you're willing to say that one's going to be here and you're not willing to say the other one's going to be here, what's it going to tell you? Unless you were to win the final 3 games, and you weren't going to win the final 3 games. So now I think, well, if you get rid of one, if they're thought partners, wouldn't you be getting rid of the other one? Because I think some people are going to want to take an about face. You can have an offensive guy. I'm open to anything. Defense, offense. I want a leader of men. That's what I want. You can be an offensive guy and be a firehouse. I mean, look at Dan Campbell, for crying out loud. But I need a leader of men. I need a guy who can get in here and jumpstart this. And I think the lack of accountability in so many ways has sparked a lot of complacency. And I think it's made the fans complacent. And, hey, I understand. Hey, you guys lose Kevin. Watch him go succeed. I wish Kevin all the success in the world. I think that he's going to need a group of adults in there, because they needed somebody to calm things down. He calmed things down, but then there's a next step that needs to be taken, and I don't think that the organization has ever taken that next step with him as the head coach, and I think it's cost them a bit with their culture.
Look, he's been here 6 years. There's been some good, there's been a lot of bad, and a lot of that bad is what's most recent. And in those situations, those guys get fired almost 100% of the time. So I don't think at this stage, like, yeah, I kind of thought this when we were at the end of the Baker leash, where at the end, and he had bottomed out, and there was the injury and all of that. But I was like, sometimes, if he goes and plays well elsewhere, that doesn't mean that he's going to be able to do that here, and maybe that means it's time to move on anyway. And that's kind of where I'm at with Kevin Stefanski. Like, if he goes and wins elsewhere, we can all admit we're all living in the moment now, just like we were all living in the moment of Baker at the end when it was really bad in the locker room. There were kind of the factions in the locker room, and things had gone south, and every day we were hearing something new. Maybe that's just the case that we're here with Stefanski. That if he goes and wins elsewhere in another situation, it's been 6 years. It's not like we moved on from him in 2 years, and we're not like understanding the scenario of what it is right now.
Things come to an end. They can come to an end, and I understand that. And I understand that there's only so many of these jobs that are out there, but he is one of the guys that, yeah, he'll get another crack at it.
And I don't know. I'm not positive he gets a head coaching job next year. I'm not positive. I don't think it's a guarantee. I know some national voices have made it sound like, oh boy, if Kevin Stefanski's out on the open market. Well, let's see what happens first, because if John Harbaugh is on the open market, I'm guessing he's going to go before Kevin Stefanski.
Well, he's been a guy who's been a head coach so long, I don't even know if he might take a step back.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not sure exactly what he'd want.
If McDermott was available, if the Bills just get bounced in the first round, and the Bills, what are they going to do? They're probably going to move on, right?
You would think so.
So I'm guessing he would be higher in the pecking order than Kevin Stefanski.
216-474-0092. Let me get to
Tomlin, obviously.
Well, do you want him to be? Are you okay with Andrew Berry being here next year if it's just Andrew Berry and no Kevin Stefanski? Or because I do think there's going to be a lot of like, well, are we rotating and making it better? Because I'm going to hold my breath with every draft pick. I have to. I know this last draft was good. It doesn't make up for the last 5. And the last 5 have been scattershot.
And by the way, you could tell if it was such a good class, they'd be winning some games just based on that. I've seen good rookie classes, especially when you're taking quarterbacks. They took 2 quarterbacks, and it's not helping them win.
Let me get to Steph in Cleveland. Steph, are you good with it just being Andrew Berry back?
Good morning, fellas.
Morning, Steph.
I am I am more than open to it just being Andrew Berry, and here's the reason why. I honestly do not believe that there is any quarterback in the draft that is going to come onto the Cleveland Browns football team and making an immediate impact the way we are hoping that Mendoza or whoever, the Manning or whoever we would desire to go get in the draft. I believe that Shador Sanders can be a franchise quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I just think he has to be developed. I do not believe that Kevin Stefanski can develop him. As a matter of fact, I know he can.
Okay, but you believe Andrew Berry, there's a better chance of him staying here than as the quarterback? Because that's my personal belief. If Andrew Berry's still here, I think there's a much better chance that Shador Sanders ends up being the quarterback for 2026.
Absolutely. And I honestly don't think that it's going to be hard for you to find a coach to come in and deal with the makeup of it. I really don't. I honestly believe that there's probably coaches out there that sees a multitude of reasons why Kevin Stefanski is not being successful with Shador or vice versa.
Boy, I got to tell you, that's going to be a hell of an indicator.
Or Dylan or Joe Flacco.
I think you just opened up another box here. Thank you very much for the call. Like, if we find out that, say you do open up Kevin Stefanski's job and wish Kevin Stefanski well in all his future endeavors, if you have trouble and you're getting to the third or fourth pick of your head coach, what might that say to you about your roster and your situation at quarterback? You know, if there's other situations, like if you believe that Shador Sanders is better than Jackson Dart, this is still a quarterback league as much as we worry about all the other positions. And we have a lot of holes that we have to fill, without a doubt. But if you believe that this is a quarterback league, wouldn't you believe that if you thought that you were better, if you thought Shador was better than Jackson Dart, wouldn't the Browns be a more attractive situation? I'm sure the cap situation is a lot different there, but
well, this is where people are not going to like this.
I don't know their cap off the top of my head, so I apologize, Giants fans.
I've agreed with you. I've agreed with the callers that Shador has been in no position to succeed here. I've been in total agreement.
Agreed.
I also don't think he's played so well that other coaches would be lining up to coach here. I think they would definitely, if Cincinnati opens up 1,000%, they're going to run to Cincinnati.
Well, according to them, I mean, Joe Burrow might be gone by the end of the year.
Yeah,
so.
I know. So I just, guys, I went through the numbers. I went through, it's not that I think Shador Sanders is doomed and can never play quarterback in the NFL. I just don't think he's put enough out there to remotely have people running over to come coach the Cleveland Browns.
I still think there is a tremendous difference, and that might be an eye-opening experience here in 2 weeks if they were to move on from Kevin Stefanski. I still think there is a big difference between what media, fans feel about Shador Sanders and what the NFL feels about Shador Sanders. If they were to move on from Kevin Stefanski and you ended up having guys running to this situation, it feels, then maybe I'd feel a hell of a lot better about all this, and maybe the NFL has changed.
Yeah.
Maybe the NFL has changed. But I still think that there is a chasm between how we feel about Shador and how the NFL, the rest of the NFL may feel about Shador. And all of a sudden, if you're on 3 or 4 different guys here, it's like, well, you know, we thought we wanted this guy, but he ended up taking the Giants job. We thought we wanted this guy. He ended up taking Tennessee. This guy ended up taking Atlanta. You know, whatever. Then I think that you probably would think differently about the quarterback during the offseason.
Yeah.
Because you'll be going through this process during the playoffs. You might not hire him until February for all we know, but you'll be going through this process during the college football playoff. So now this is starting to click into your head about where are you at? And if you do get guys running to you, why did they come and take this job? You know, that's one of the things that have to be brought up. I do believe that there's a better if Andrew Berry is here. I said this last week. If he stays, I think there's a much better chance that Shador Sanders starts 2026. But I want it to be for the right reasons. I want there to be some faith in Shador Sanders. I don't want to just do another 17-game whatever season where we're just waiting around for quarterbacks. See, that's where I'm getting a little bit frustrated here. I'm not afraid of a quarterback at the top of the draft. I'm not afraid of him. And I don't want people to be afraid of him because we'll never get out of this if you're just afraid to do it. I want faith in Shador. And I felt better about Shador yesterday, even with the 2 picks, than I felt about Shador in a while, because I don't need to see a bunch of great big bombs that gets Twitter going. I need to see them move the offense, and I still saw them move the offense. Even with the checkdowns and all the other things, I saw a guy making the right decision for his football team. That's what I think I saw. Some of the decision was a little late. That's what happened with Quinn Sean Judkins, but I thought I saw a guy going to some of the right places.
I don't even disagree, but I also think there's a lot of quarterbacks that could have done exactly that yesterday. The screen passes, especially with as mobile as so many quarterbacks are, the takeoff and run when they're dropping seven back.
Dylan Gabriel's not the example, I know, but I didn't see that. I haven't really seen that at all this year in a Browns uniform. Right. It's not a high bar.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I hope they don't make the mistake of just comparing Shador to the awful Browns quarterbacks.
They won't.
You're not doing that because they're in a situation where they could go grab the number one quarterback in the draft if they have that evaluation on them and say, hey, I could go get the guy that I think can change. I can go get the Jaden Daniels, the C.J. Stroud, the Drake May. He could be potentially available for them at the top. That is what you have to compare this to. You can't keep comparing him to Dylan Gabriel or the bad quarterback play of who was the guy they threw into the game in Baltimore a few years ago?
It doesn't matter. Don't even.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Yeah,
that's what
right.
I mean. You can't compare Shador to those guys because those are the losing bad quarterbacks that got us in this mess to begin with.
No, you're right about that. I don't want to sit there and compare it to it, but I don't think that they will. I think that he'll consider everything. But when you keep Andrew Berry, I think that you're thinking, okay, this is more of a process. This is going to take more time, and we're going to let him dig out of it. I think that that's more of it. I think a new guy would come in and go, this is the Browns. We need to immediately make a splash. This is the most QB-obsessed team in all the NFL and probably in all NFL history. They're willing to do whatever it takes for a quarterback. They need some infusion there, and they might be willing to overdraft a guy that maybe has red flags. I don't think that Fernando Mendoza has really many red flags at all. Dante Moore, I still need to see more, guys. I still.
Well, he's just started so few games.
I know.
He shows potential to be blockbuster.
Yeah, I just feel that there's still too many things that I wonder about, and if we end up with the number 2 pick, it's going to be a hell of an argument. Coming up at 8:20, Daryl Ryder going to join us on the show. Miles is approaching history and having to answer some very awkward questions. Shadell strikes again. Coming up at 7:21 on The Fan. Extend Technologies in Broadview Heights. Your time is now. Now, the weather's been a little bit weird. Friday, what was it, like 20 degrees? It was a high at 20. It was terrible weather outside. And then Saturday I was actually out in the woods on Saturday morning, and boy, was it just frigid. But it ended up being kind of a pleasant day. We don't know what the weather's going to bring, but we are hoping for one thing. We are hoping for snow on February.
Wayside Furniture's year-end furniture clearance with unbelievable savings for every room in your home. 1367 Canton Road, just south of Route 224, Wayside in Akron. Keeping it local since 1937.
The radio home of the NFL in Cleveland.
This penalty's declined.
We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Shador did it again, Tone. Browns lost yesterday. You'll do that. But Shador did it again. There was a chance in history for your defensive end, your future first ballot Hall of Famer, Myles Garrett. But Myles was asked a pointed question by Shador. Jeff Shador asked this to Myles Garrett, and here was Myles' answer.
Hey, Myles, when you went through that trade request, you said you didn't care about records, Hall of Fame, all that stuff. You just wanted to win. So with 2 games to go, and you guys are 3-12, what's it been like for you?
Next question.
It's nice. It's nice that he's in that position where he can do that.
Should I just ask
Myles,
which one? Oh, Myles.
That he can next question, and it gets kind of a laugh out of everybody. Nobody's really mad at him for doing it. When you next question stuff, and you are at the stature of somebody like Dylan Gabriel's out there going next question, people be like, dude, you're the quarterback. You have to answer these questions. Myles Garrett does the next question. Everyone's just kind of like, that's funny. Even though the question he asked is kind of what a bunch of fans have been wondering all along.
That's what I like about Jeff. Is like there's a lot of people ask like press conferences are not. People used to get mad about press conferences. They really don't anymore. Like the line of questioning in press conferences, people used to get really mad about. I don't think they get as mad anymore because I think they're not interviews. They're lines for stories and things like that. Jeff just asked what fans want to know, man. That's if Bob in the 537 wanted to ask a question, that might be a question that Bob or Jeff or Mike or Sean or whoever in the 537 would ask. They'd go, hey, you said you didn't care about records and winning. What's it like to be setting a record on a team that's not going to be good? Jeff Shador from the News Herald and the Morning Journal. I mean, that's there. That's it. I like Jeff for that. You like Jeff for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, can you interpret what Myles might have been thinking? He had a chance to answer it, so you can speculate on what he was thinking.
Man, I mean, the reality is it's what probably most people thought it was around the league. Like, you kind of embarrassed the franchise for, 3 weeks during the Super Bowl? And even though you try to say nice things about the Browns, everybody knew what you were getting at, which is, I'm being wasted on this team. I am the best defensive player in football. I might be one of the best defensive players of the last 30 years. The argument could be made now. He's having one of the best single seasons in modern NFL history defensively. All the numbers back it up. The tackles for loss, the sacks, the pressures, the win rate. It all stacks up really high. You're doing it on a 3-win football team. Why did you re-sign here? You could have made this money anywhere. Why are you here?
Did you, when you say embarrass the franchise, you hold him accountable? You hold him a grudge for that?
No, not at all.
For the display, for the Radio Row and all the other stuff?
There are definitely fans last week who definitely said that they don't have that connection with Myles because of those antics or that strategy, which is what it was. It was a strategy.
But I also think that did you think it was a strategy to go to be traded?
In the end, just
get more money.
Get whatever he was looking for. And we don't know behind the scenes what he was looking for.
Well, he could have just said, pay me more money or I'm not coming. He could have tried to say that. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that there's serious fines that you can incur or anything like that, but, I mean, they could try to take that away if they want to as a team. He could have tried to say that, I want more money, and people would have been like, I pay him more money. He could have said that. He said he didn't want to be here anymore, and a lot of it was because of the competition level of there not being a competitive team. They're not a competitive team, and I don't think they're going to be very competitive for at least a couple of more years.
But then nothing materially changed in the 3 weeks from him asking out, sending a press release, joining every single national radio, TV, podcast show of record.
But I didn't.
He
hold
went on
him,
them all.
But I thought he exercised whatever power he had, and I think he said a lot of things that I think a lot of fans would want to say too. My thought of it is that a lot of people just separated themselves emotionally from Myles at that point, thinking we can get how many first-round picks for Myles Garrett? Well, we're not going to go anywhere anytime soon, so let's let's make this move with Myles Garrett and go get some picks. I think that's the way a lot of people were thinking about that. So you separate yourself from him emotionally. He is not, and I brought up the beloved thing. I was surprised so many people agreed with me, where I'm like, he's well respected here, but he's not beloved like Nick Chubb is or like Jose Ramirez is or someone like that. He is respected. And the embarrassment thing, I think that, hey, you could defend Browns fans. He wasn't going after the fans. He was going after the organization. And I think a lot of people would like to go after the organization, just judging by every single call we take on a Browns Monday after they lose.
But on the flip side of it, and here's where it gets kind of fascinating, is I just went through all those things that most people, even outside of Cleveland, are like, yeah, he's the best defensive player. He's having one of the best single-season years. But if he doesn't have a playoff run ever, and in 2 playoff games, I mean, the one in the COVID year, Pittsburgh,
it'll look like empty calories.
But the loss to Houston, like if he doesn't ever go on a playoff run or do it in the playoffs the way that we have so many guys that have been all-time greats that have done it. Aaron Donald has done it in the playoffs and has been the reason at times that his team has been
I'll put you on
winning
a weird,
those games.
Let me put you on a weird
Myles
spot.
Hasn't done that.
Give me one name that you think of when you think of Myles Garrett. In history at his position, when you think of Myles, the guys that he's with, give me a name.
Yeah, Reggie White.
Okay, give me another.
Bruce Smith.
Give me another.
Aaron Donald.
Oh, I was going to think you were going to say Lawrence Taylor, but Aaron Donald's
LT,
great too. You
yeah.
could put, even though it's a different spot.
LT, yeah.
You could put 4 guys there. Bruce Smith played in 4 of them. He's the only guy who doesn't have a Super Bowl out of it. He doesn't have a Super Bowl. I know he finished his career different, but he doesn't have a Super Bowl out of it. The other guys, they all got hardware. They all have it.
Dwight Freeney.
They've all been in those big moments. He hasn't been in those big moments.
How many games did we see Dwight Freeney and that spin move in cold weather, if it was on the road, if it was the playoffs, and making huge impact?
But I think I don't think he wants to answer the question, because I think it probably eats away at him. That, yeah, you made this decision based on money, and if you continue to play this way, there's nothing I can say to you. Like, I got defensive of him during the game yesterday, where I started texting back. I wasn't getting in an argument, because I mean this respectfully, but I have many bosses, and we joke about it. I had a boss texting me like, "Where's 95 at? No tackles, no nothing." And I'm going, well, they're running away from him.
The entire
they're running
game plan.
boot away from him. He's being double teamed because you don't have any A-gap pressure. Like, I had to go down the line of why.
I'm surprised they didn't
and
move.
I'm sure it sounded like a big excuse to him, but I'm like, no, this is reasoning here. What's going on?
Now, maybe after you get a chance to look at the All-22,
why they didn't move him?
Why they didn't move him around more? Because they haven't
been able to do a lot of what they've wanted to do. It's amazing.
Once Malik Collins went down, it's like now he's just in the same place every time.
Well, because it makes me start to think how much of a shell game it is. But it's not just Malik Collins; it's also Denzel Ward. Because I can't, and I wrote this back, and I should probably just read the text that I was sending right back to him, but I'm going to say it off the top of my head. I can't get any real good A-gap pressure that's meaningful. So I can't occupy a guard with somebody in the A-gap or somebody in the B. So that guard is immediately going to be looking towards who? They're going to be looking towards 95. And J.J. Watt circled that. So they're looking at 95. So he's going to be double teamed there. And then I can't send... When's the last time we seen Grant Delpit go on a blitz?
Right.
Or a delayed blitz or a stunt, any of those things. We haven't seen it in weeks.
We saw the one with Schlesinger was a bit delayed and it worked.
And why can't I do that? Why can't I do that? I can't do it because I need him in the secondary, because I have Sam Webb and Miles Harden back there, because I don't have Denzel Ward. See, this is what makes football great, especially defensively. Now, that got nitty-gritty there for a moment, but this is what makes it great, is everything has to work. It can't just be Miles and 10 other guys, because you're seeing now, if Miles didn't have what he had behind him and he didn't have what he had next to him, Miles becomes an easier guy to circle and go, okay, he can get past one NFL-style offensive lineman. Can he get past 2? Can he get past a chip and 2? I mean, these are the things that are going to happen to him. It's going to happen against Pittsburgh, and it's going to happen against Cincinnati. This is going to be he's there. He's right there. He's at 22. This is going to come down to the wire. I hope he does it next week, but this is going to be difficult for him. Aaron Rodgers ain't no dummy. These are veterans here. They know what they're doing. They know where 95 is at all times. So this is going to be difficult for him. And without anybody to make you think as an offensive line, I have to worry more about this guy in this gap, and I can't go over here, and we're going to have to put our left tackle out there on an island against this man. It makes things more difficult for him. 216-474-0092. Like, I think with Miles, the question becomes, how do I free him up to set this record? Because now this is where we're at. I want to see Shador play well. I want to see Miles get this record. I want this season to be meaningful in that way. And I just gave you the recipe for what you saw it on Sunday. It's what I'm just saying the obvious stuff to any football guy. I mean, that's what you're going to see on Sunday, and that's what you're going to see the Sunday after. Like, it might take. Pittsburgh's a good enough football team. Their offensive line isn't that great, but I hate to say it, it might take till week 18.
Well, that can't happen.
And if it takes till week 18, you know what everybody's going to say.
It's just flat out not going to be counted.
You know what everybody's going to say.
So it has to happen this week. Look, it'd be even sweeter doing it against Pittsburgh. It would be pretty darn sweet to be able to do it in this fashion.
Were you happy? And you asked me this, so I'm going to turn it around on you. Were you happy that he didn't set the record with the sack?
Yes.
That he got half.
Yes.
He got half credit for, which I can't believe he got half credit. I can't believe Mason Graham didn't get any credit. It was him and Alex Wright who got the credit.
Wright's the one that started the whole pressure.
So Wright starts it, but I'm going, well, Mason is the one with him, and then Miles is there. So if you're going to give half credit, why would it have been Alex Wright and Mason? I'm just glad he didn't set the record on that sack.
So where is he right now? Is he tied or
no, he's at 22?
So, okay,
he's a half behind.
He's a half behind.
Michael Strahan has 22 and a half.
So just getting a half this week.
TJ has 22 and a half. He's got to get the full one this week.
He has to get a full sack. That's what it does.
Yeah,
that's what last week does. And there's no chance. Like, the NFL's not going to change it again. What happened yesterday is done. Because I've seen sometimes the very next day they change things.
But I would be happy to see him do it against the Steelers, because you ain't going to have any stupid Brett Favre scenario. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers ain't going to lay down for him.
No, now Aaron Rodgers
might think about his own self-preservation and may go down.
He was sacked twice.
But he's not going to do what Brett Favre did.
Yeah, Rodgers was sacked twice last week and 3 times against Miami the week before.
He was sacked how many times?
Twice this week and 3 last week.
Okay.
0 against Baltimore, and then there's been at least 1 for 6 straight weeks before that. So there are going to be opportunities.
This is going to be a big, but it's going to put more on Mason Graham, because if you can't get any guys in the A or B, like you got him lined up in the wide, 67 out there, like it's going. You get guys chipping down on you and all that other stuff. Like we're putting him further and further and further away from the quarterback, and then they're running boot and they're running plays to the right, and they're running further and further and further away from him. And because you got guys in the secondary who I don't think you trust. I mean, Ronnie Hickman on that James Cook touchdown run. I mean, I've seen angles before, but that was, oh boy, like that was youth football. I like the kid, but my God, that was as bad as it gets. And I think that's just a microcosm of, now you're starting to see how much it did hurt to lose MJ Emerson and how much it hurts to not have Denzel Ward on the field, because he splits the field in half and he makes it so much easier for everybody else to cover. But either way, I think style points matter to Miles in this pursuit, and I'm very, very, very happy that I think the record, I think it's going to come down to it. I think he still will set it. I think it might get set in Week 18, which I'm not very thrilled about. But either way,
which then won't count to most of America.
It will count. It will still count. It won't count as much. I have to admit that.
No, he has to set it this week.
Does he have to set it this week?
Yes, he has to. It cannot be in Week 18.
I want to disagree. It's hard. It's so
There's always going to be an asterisk by it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. I don't know. Oh, my God. He's got to set it this week, doesn't he? I don't want to hear. Even Browns fans, depending on how this all works out with Miles,
it's going to be brought up in 100% of the conversations with you-know-who fans.
Oh, with Steelers fans?
If it gets set up in Week 18. They're going to go, well, you didn't set it against us in Week 17, which is when you needed to do it.
Plus, do we tell everybody what we got going on next Sunday? And how much better it would be for us being at the game?
Maybe just for you.
You're going to that game.
I don't. Right now, it is very much in the air.
How?
It's a day-by-day scenario.
This is a work event. Are you serious?
I don't know. I don't know right now.
Are you being serious?
I am being serious. I told you last week.
I don't know how to react to people on the YouTube.
It was in flux.
No, what do you mean it was in flux?
About whether I can go to this.
It's a effing Browns game. You don't get to go to many of them. This is a station thing.
I know.
This is an Odyssey thing. I can't be any more clear. I should just tell everybody what it is and then put pressure on Sarah Ono to let you go. There should be no letting go. This is a day at work for you. That's what you should count this as. There's going to be drinks involved, but you should still, this is a day at work.
I think she's going to want to see, she's going to want, well, I'll explain.
I'll explain to everybody what we got going on at 8:01. 216-474-0092. Well, you're going to be there. It's not going to happen. You guys are all going to, I'm going to be sitting up there alone. That's how this is going to work out. I know how this is going to go. Yep, I'll fix your wagon. I know how this is going to be. Yep, come up next Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's going to be just one big fat guy and a Browns.
No, you know, you might be sitting next to.
That's it. Who?
You might be sitting next to DK Metcalf in that game.
Lima likes in 5 minutes on the Fan.
Just don't call him any names.
I will definitely not. What's alleged there? That ain't going to happen. Friends, Ken Carman here for the wonderful people at Classic Chevy and Menor and Classic.
while you're at work. Baskin and Phelps, weekdays starting at 10 on 92.3 The Fan.
Does Lima like?
Or does Lima no like?
Like?
Tell me likey. I'm liking it. I like it a lot.
No like.
He doesn't like you.
I don't like you either.
You're tacky and I hate you.
Like or no like. Like or no like.
But I definitely knew what I liked, and I definitely knew what I didn't like.
All right, Kenny, it was yet another wild. This actually ended up being a wild week in the NFL. I could even start out with, Saturday night.
Lima Lake. I'm sorry.
Saturday night.
Kayla's there. I
got to tell you, what a crazy experience watching an NFL game in an NFL city surrounded by those NFL fans. And then the Packer fans were there too. No matter where you went.
Right.
And I've never seen that rivalry up close and personal the way I did that night, because when the John Carroll game ended, and that was
Lima no like,
they ran into a juggernaut and most likely the future Division III national champions. Naperville, beautiful area, by the way.
Oh, really?
Beautiful area. Watching that game, which had kicked off just as I had gotten home, and to see the emotions of the Bears fans, because they've won so many games in the manner that they won that game. And this one was ridiculous. Like getting the onside kick, being able to convert, going in overtime. You had already knocked their quarterback out of the game with the concussion. And then to have their fans going nuts while next to me were Packer fans as well. And I got to ask you this. My sister and her friends high-fived me when the Bears won the game. And I did what?
You high-five back.
I high-fived back.
Yeah, you can't
leave
her
hanging.
Like,
why? I'm not a Bears fan. I don't really care. I was rooting for overtime because it meant more drinks. Because eventually I had an early flight and I had to get home.
You can't leave Carla hanging, or her friends.
All her friends were going nuts. It was shots.
Because it's not
You're doing
real to
shots.
them.
And I kept looking, going, I have to be up at 5:15. My alarm is set for 5:15. And I'm on Central Time, but the game is in overtime. And it's going and going and going. And meanwhile, more drinks, more conversations, more hanging out. Looking at the clock. I have such a long, like the whole thing, taking the train or the Uber, figuring it out. O'Hare's a mess. It always is, no matter what time of day.
How long has your sister lived in Chicago now?
13 years, 14 years.
She wasn't that big of a sports fan to begin with.
No,
so
just Ohio State. Because again, she gets nice seats.
Congratulations on all her success.
Kenny, she took a private jet to 2 Ohio State games this year.
Wow. Even more congratulations to your sister on all her success.
Do you know how insane that is? Anyway, moving on, and unfortunately,
Lima no light.
Where are we on the Baker Mayfield cycle again? Is he in the playing you-know-what?
Okay, for Baker Mayfield fans, let me ask you, do I need to rip him like crazy so he'll start to play well again?
Oh, that is how the cycle works.
That's how it goes.
A terrible
Media starts talking trash, and then here he comes.
He had never lost to Carolina before.
They lost yesterday.
Yesterday, he finished with 145 yards. He was sacked twice, and this play.
Mayfield throws, and it's intercepted. It's a takeaway for the Cavaliers.
First, they had Chris Myers on the call, which already puts you in a tough spot.
Mike Evans ran one way, the pass went the other way.
He did.
Baker Mayfield's like, what do you want from me?
What do you want from me? Interception. That's what you're going to get. I went to their Reddit board immediately after, and a bunch of people said he cannot be the quarterback next year for our football team.
It's all coming full circle.
The NFL season. Yeah,
That's the experience.
You're actually getting 4 years of Baker Mayfield all in one. This has actually been an all-time roller coaster. MVP Baker. Did we ever have MVP Baker and bad Baker in the same year? I don't think we did.
Would you rather have Baker Mayfield or Shador Sanders as your quarterback in 2026?
216-474.
Is that a diabolical question I should wait to ask until Coming in Hot goes off the rails?
I think we have tomorrow show all mapped out for us. Somehow Pittsburgh does it again. And Pittsburgh fans, and we obviously have a bunch of them that listen to this show because for whatever reason their radio is not up to snuff. But here, you're watching that game going, well, they had won the game, then they had lost the game, then they had won the game, and it was just all-time craziness against Detroit. And can you explain how that team is sitting at the top of the division? Baltimore lost last night, and they are in firm command to be able to go back to the playoffs with Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers. And they're 9-6.
Yes.
Plus 15 point differential. Plus 15 on the year. This time, every one of their games is gone.
But they don't use much analytics.
Yeah. What do you make?
Maybe they'd win more if they used more analytics. Because they win enough to keep him in play.
Can we say this?
Lima no life.
DK Metcalf went into the stands and looked like
he didn't go into the stands.
His fist,
the stands kind of came to him.
His fist went into the stands.
So he alleges that something racist was said, correct?
Yes, correct.
That's true?
And
he
another
alleges
word,
that?
And another word that people use to say negative things about women.
Well, I'm not going to... Really?
Yeah.
Oh, dear God. Okay, well...
Which a bunch of guys used to say about guys in a disparaging fashion as well.
Well, I'm not... Okay.
But this from Ocho Cinco. He
really
relayed it on Shannon Sharp's podcast.
All right, I really don't want any clarification on that.
Mm-hmm.
Did the fan get thrown out of the game?
Ooh, I don't know.
You can't be leaning over
did
he get thrown out of the game? Kayla, it's a radio show. You can say something.
I believe Metcalf got ejected and the fan got removed from.
Was Metcalf ejected?
Punched somebody.
I don't know that he did.
Metcalf was not ejected.
I didn't think he was. No. Did the fan?
I was reading the lower third during the
Michael Markoch. Was the fan removed?
I don't know anything about the fan.
Remove the fan.
I didn't see anything.
Or do you want the Ford family to remove them for you? I don't know.
So you
can't lean over the railing and do that.
That'd be a big loss if he's not available for the Steelers this week.
You can't hit a fan, but you can't be leaning over the railing, getting into it with a player. What are you doing?
I saw a lot of people advocating that, yes, a fan should get punched in the face if that's what he said.
If that's exactly what he said, yeah.
He
got what's
should
coming
get
to
punched
you.
in the face.
Yes, if you said that word, yes. Yeah, you got what's coming to you.
Does that give that word more power? Is one of the big philosophical debates we have
I don't know.
on a daily
but
basis.
I'm just letting you know, there's some words that you just can't be saying to people unless you're ready to fight. And I've learned them as one of those words, and no. No.
Meanwhile, a team that probably needs to show a lot more fight.
Lima no life.
What has happened to the once proud Cleveland Cavaliers? What happened to our 64 wins last year? 66.
Yeah, they won 64.
What happened to our 64-win juggernaut Avalanche team? What in the hell? They lost twice to the Bulls.
Yeah, bad.
I had to watch that in Chicago. That was
I watched
fun.
it too.
What in the world?
Hey, man, I watched that game and I didn't think we were going to win at all. I'm telling you, man, we're in a bad place. Christmas Day might be the day, guys.
Are you ready for some Peacock and the Charlotte Hornets tonight? The 9-19 Charlotte Hornets. Feels like every
it's at
game
home too.
Every game we're playing a team that is terrible.
We got back-to-back at home. We got Charlotte and then New Orleans day off, and then we have the Knicks on Christmas, correct?
I'm going to ask you something. We are one of the worst teams in the NBA against the spread. I had the numbers last week. I'll have it updated. We are giving 9.5 points tonight. If you're a Cavs fan, you've already seen them lose to all these bad teams. Shouldn't you be able to profit off it?
What? You want people to bet against the Cavs?
I'm saying, if they are going to be this bad, and you're going to watch their games and they're not going to give effort, shouldn't you make money based on it?
Plenty of people bet against the Browns, thinking, well, if I'm going to watch this, at least I'm going to make money. I think we're a little bit premature on that, but I'm thinking about Kenny Atkinson's future.
Yeah.
Of course, there's people who say, like, he needs to be held accountable, and I'm like, how did it all just go straight to hell in a matter of months? It really went that badly. I'm like, guys, I got to...
That's
but I still got to look at the roster.
That's it for Lima Likes. We're out of time. At some point, we have to talk about James Madison and Tulane. And what in the world was that for the first round of the playoffs?
Well, that will be tabled to a point later in the show. Because coming up next, this is a work event next Sunday, and Lima better be there because you're going to have to, if somebody hits the field, you're going to have to shout down and admonish some of the fans around you. Who is that? I'll tell you at 8:01 on The Fan. Northeast Ohio Fence and Deck since 19...
on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
This is a work event, and you need to be there next Sunday. So I have not told anybody. There's a plan. It's technically a work event. The show is Ken Carman and Anthony Lima. It's not Ken Carman and friends. It's not Ken Carman and dudes from Pittsburgh. It's Ken Carman and Anthony Lima. Or Anthony Lima and Ken Carman, if you want to. Either way, our names are on the show. You are required to be at a work event. You need to tell Sarah that you will be at this work event on Sunday
so explain to
at
people,
the Steelers-Browns game.
Explain to people what the thought process was behind this event when we talked about it
I told
3 months ago, and the Browns were a very different team.
What do you mean they were a different team?
They're a very different team.
You thought they were going to be the same suck-ass record that they have right now, so I don't want to hear that they were going to be a different team. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. Champions pose, the easiest one I've ever had.
So obviously it's going to be all Steelers fans like it was all Bills fans last week.
Oh, my God.
Yesterday.
It was all Bills fans yesterday. I've never seen so much red, white, and blue. I've
had
been
one.
I've been to 4th of July parades that didn't have that much red, white, and blue. Oh, my goodness.
I had 2 different bar owners tell me that they wish the Bills came here at least twice a year.
Now, there was extenuating circumstance. No, we've had the Bills here before, and there wasn't that many fans. There was extenuating circumstances that you need to tell these bar owners why. Is how many games do they have left at their place? I don't know what their schedule is after this. But
I think one, and the tickets have been in the 200s for the cheap seats every game.
The tickets are astronomical because it's their final year at that stadium. They're going to be building a new stadium, a new Highmark Stadium, which kind of looks like a sombrero in a way.
I didn't know that's going to open next year.
Yeah, that's next year. This is their last season. What do you mean you didn't know? Dustin was texting you. He already got in on the tickets for next year there.
I just thought it was another year away. I didn't realize they were already.
No, that's next year. They have, I don't know how many games they have left in this. I don't have their schedule in front of me, whatever. But, here we are. Their next game, they have 2 more home games.
Oh, wow.
So those are going to be expensive.
Plus the playoffs.
Yeah, but they might be having to go on the road.
Oh,
so this could be
the first game?
Yeah, this could be it. So if they have to go on the road, this could very well be it. So the ticket prices are astronomical. I think the get-in price was $60-65 by the time, $60 to $65 by the time the game started on Sunday yesterday, and it was just all Bills fans. But they've been, and they're good. They've been bad before, and there hasn't been a lot of Bills fans here. There's always going to be some Bills fans. You're 3 hours away. And because there's Erie, Pennsylvania, which basically splits the difference. There's Bills fans there. There's Browns fans there. Not as many Steelers fans as you'd think. Very odd. I've been to Erie, Pennsylvania numerous times. Not as many Steelers fans as you'd think. It really is between the Browns and Bills in that region. But either way, there was going to be a lot of fans. If the Browns were good, say in 2020, I don't know. We don't have the same type of history, so it doesn't really matter. Either way, if it's an easy trip and the Browns were 10-4 going into the game and the Bills were 3-11, I think the shoe would be on the other foot if we were on the road. I think a lot of people would be going to Buffalo for that game. But there were a lot of Bills fans there. And it's probably the only takeover I've ever been really cool with because I've never had there's ugly interactions all over the NFL. I've never had an ugly interaction with a Bills fan. I've never had a bad word with a Bills fan in person or anything. The internet's the internet. It doesn't matter.
Well, it's two situations,
like-minded
cities
individuals.
and towns that have been molded by heartbreak. The economies have been similar. So it's always all right, we understand them. Obviously, their ownership stepping up when we lost the Browns or were on the brink of losing the Browns.
Voted against it.
They supported us. So they welcomed us to continue going to their games. It was a weird situation. But you're right. It's always been, and we've had some awesome weather games against them.
Yeah, and now that the game's over, honestly, I want the Browns to win every game, but I told you I'm at the point where I'm not going to be crestfallen if they lose.
Are we rooting for the Bills to win the Super Bowl?
I want the Bills to win the Super Bowl.
I think I'm with you.
I want the Bills to win the Super Bowl because it's not now or never for Josh Allen. He's 30 years old, but boy, if he don't get it done now, it's is it ever going to be ever for Josh Allen?
Their defense looks so bad yesterday.
Their defense isn't that great, but my God,
except when the game was on the line.
They finally got a running game. That offensive line is good. They were good even before they played the Browns. They finally got themselves a running game, and I'm going, there's no Joe Burrow. There's no Patrick Mahomes.
No Lamar Jackson,
There may very well be no Lamar Jackson. Like, this is as good of a look as you're going to get. This is as good as it's going to get.
You're going to be going up against Bo Nix or Trevor Lawrence, even though Trevor is now having himself a really good year.
But doesn't have a good history in the postseason. Drake May's never been in the postseason. So this is as wide open of a lane as the Bills are ever going to get. So I am wanting the Bills to win the Super Bowl. I'm officially on record. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
show stance.
Official show. Well, Owen's not here. I'm sure he'd disagree. But either way, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But this Sunday, the Steelers are in town, and it'll probably be a hostile Steelers takeover. And on the way on 480 in, I'll see all the old Econoline vans and all the other folks coming up for their holiday trip. But I'm going to be going to the game, and we decided that it would be fun to go sit in the 537 with a lot of the 537 boys, fans, diehard fans of the Browns. Had to be a bad weather game, December 28th, perfect. And as of right now, they plan on coming with us, that it will be you and me, hopefully Owen, and it will be at least Pony and Muller. Pony's planning on coming. Muller's planning on coming.
We didn't get a ticket for Mitch?
We did not get a ticket for Mitch.
Our dearly departed?
We did not get a ticket for the dearly departed Mitch.
Who may have regifted me something last week.
And you know what? I don't blame him for it. That's okay. I'm sure he regifted my... but actually, there's no way he could regift the Dale Earnhart package because it was sealed. But either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of, let's just say, dirt maybe on the sleeves. It's been put through the wash. Need to be shrunken anyway.
What did you think? Did you really think it was going to be a brand new...
it's an Ohio State
hoodie.
Zip up.
Did you really think he was going to buy that for you?
I was hoping he didn't.
Exactly. So you probably got something that was from a thrift store, which cost him $2. I hope that's all it cost him.
Good quality. What is this brown stuff on this?
It was JanSport. Good stuff. Somebody played some touch football with him. Fell in the...
His car's just really dirty.
Yeah.
That could be.
Well, I hope not.
I hope Mitch doesn't live in squalor.
Yeah, you don't know.
Do you think Mitch is listening to any of this today?
No, he is still asleep. He does not care, and I don't blame him. This is a work event on Sunday, and you need to be there. You need to be there with bells on.
Okay,
I will. At least you and me. I'm not sure Owen. I think Owen. But Pony and Muller are coming. I wanted Donnie Football to come, but I'm going to go to my fiance's family. Just making up excuses. Go great. You get the rest of your life to go to your fiance's family.
Here's my question, because obviously I haven't looked at the weather yet. But, we're talking about late December football. There's going to be Steeler fans all around us.
Yeah.
And you have big mouths.
You guys, you have heard us go after Pony for years. You're telling me you wouldn't want to sit in the 537. I mean, we're selling more Browns tickets by accident here. You're telling me you're not going to want to sit in the 537 with me? In case the Browns do well. Say the Browns do well and are beating the Steelers. Say Shador goes off against the Steelers defense. Say Myles Garrett sets the record. Do you or do you not want to see Lima and I stand up? Muller is a nice guy, so I don't think I'm going to do it, but stand up and ridicule Pony. Do you not want to see that? I think America does.
I was going to ask, will you protect me if I get punched in the face? But the question should be...
Why would you get punched in the face?
Will you protect Pony if he gets punched in the face?
Oh, no, I'm there... I'm there to kind of calm down the waters.
We need security.
I'm gonna make him... He can't say any... I'm going to say you can't be saying things to Browns fans... Because if you say something out of line, I'm just not going to back you up. And you got what's coming to you.
So you can't say what people might have said to DK Metcalf.
We all are technically co-workers.
Right. Yeah, we're working for the same company.
So do I owe it to the company? You know I'm a company man. Do I owe it to the company to make sure he stays in line?
Next question. Are we all taking our shirts off?
No, I'm not taking my shirt off. No.
I'll do it if you do it.
No, I'm not taking my shirt off. No.
Pony's got the pierce,
Pony can take his shirt off. No, he got rid of them already.
Oh, my God.
He took them out. I'm not taking my shirt off. I'm leaving my shirt and many layers on. I'm going to sit in the 537.
Right now, high of 42, low of 20. It says rain, snow, showers, wind, everything. We're getting everything.
That's what it was
the
proper
predestined.
Experience. Yes, that's what we set out for. We could have went to a preseason game
Can
together.
I sneak into the club at halftime?
I assumed you were going to do that. Are you coming back?
Never come back.
I was going to say, are you coming back out? Are you coming back out? You got to come back out.
They call it the Bermuda Triangle, that club, when it gets cold out. Once you wind up in there,
You better not stick.
Nobody ever comes in. Nobody ever comes out.
I think Owen's going to come. You owe it to Owen.
Okay. You know what? Will you make a video for my wife to ask nicely?
No.
I can't
It's a
ask.
work job. I'm not asking your wife nicely for anything.
I can't ask. I start to walk on eggshells and...
It's a work event.
Hey,
be a man.
I know you have to be with the kids for 10 straight hours, and that was a miserable experience the last 3 days while I was in Chicago. Can you do it again? And then I come home drunk and maybe under the influence?
It's a work under the influence.
Of alcohol?
I was going to say, like, what are you going to be doing over there?
A lot of stuff happens at these games.
It is the 537.
It is the 537. You know, I've seen that people drink the juice. People start handing out the juice. You got to drink that.
What type of juice?
They start yelling, "Drink the juice! Drink the juice!" What is that, Kayla? What's
Just
in the
tell her
juice?
you're gonna go.
When you slap the bag?
Yeah.
And then drink.
That's just wine. That's just bagged wine.
Oh.
No,
Or
not what you
boxed
see
wine.
up there.
That's novice.
That's just boxed wine.
Not
Franzia?
always.
What is it then?
Like hippie juice is what he's referring
Hippie juice.
to.
All right, what's in hippie juice? Kayla, I just asked on the radio. What do you mean I don't want to know?
Here's the other part of this. Are we tailgating?
I assume there
That'll
would be
add another
some.
2 hours to the day.
I'm going to walk back out there after the pregame. I'll be there at 8:30 in the morning. Whatever you guys do is whatever you guys do. But I'll be there, and then I'll be ready to come back out and ready to go and tie one on before we go back in. Thank you very much. This is a work event. You need to be there, and you need to tell your wife that it's a work event and you need to be there. I think a lot of more people are willing to go see a 3-11 football team if they can sit in the 537 with U-Tone
and just see us get
Pony
trashed
and yell at Pony. Oh, I'm not going to get trashed, but yell at Pony to have Pony there in all his indignance and just yelling at him. Hopefully the Browns pull off an upset and win this football game. You wouldn't like that? A Pony will be completely insufferable. If the Browns lose, well, no, I would pick the Steelers to win the game.
It would
so
be
Pony's
fun.
going to be insufferable either way, but he's going to be
Can
really
I sell
insufferable.
my wife on the Myles Garrett chasing history?
You should sell your wife on the idea that it's a work event and you need to be there. I keep telling you, it's a work event. You will be there with 4 other coworkers. This is a work event, and I'm talking about it on the radio. So how is this not a work event? You're with radio show hosts. You're talking about it on the radio.
Well, she's going to want to see a pay stub if it's a work event.
What type of pay stub?
She wants to see money in the bank.
What you do to make money over there at the stadium is what you can do to make money over there at the stadium. I'm not going to deny you the chance to go make money over there. You know, I used to do that for a living.
What's
way
that?
back in the day.
What's that?
I don't know. You go ahead and you can let your imagination run wild, Cleveland. All right, coming up next, the dangerous one, Daryl Ryder. And the real reason they were booing Dylan Gabriel is also coming up at around 8:45 on The Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here for Northeast.
Night Football all starts tonight at 7 o'clock right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
In your weeknight with the best segments of the day. The Fan Rewind. Weeknights at 11.
Shador, not Shador. Daryl Ryder joins us to talk about Shador. My bad. And the Cleveland Browns. Kayla, who is Daryl brought to us by?
Scheibman Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Thank you very much. Hello, Daryl.
Hello, boys. Good morning. Happy holidays.
Same to you, my friend. What'd you think of Shador yesterday?
Was okay. Need to see more plays from him, though. That's for sure.
Am I the only one who was like, hey, I like him more now?
No, I listen, I am in his corner. 100%
Are you?
In his,
I don't believe any of you.
I am. I want to see him start all 17 games next year. Give him an opportunity to show whether or not he can do this, because I do feel like there is something there with this kid. I also feel like that he needs some polishing. Needs a lot of polishing. And if they're able to get that done, I think he can be a player in this league. I loved what he did with his feet, how he evaded pressure, how he turned negative plays into positive plays with some of the runs he had. Unfortunately, on the flip side, though, he had plays that looked like they were going to be positive turn into negative plays. But no, I am actually in Shador's corner, but also at the same time, I got to call it the way it is. And there is some work that needs to be done there, but I like this kid's potential.
So I've noticed, Daryl, yesterday they were moving the ball. It seemed a lot of like, hey, the Browns are taking advantage of what the Bills are giving them. He had a great run game yesterday that unfolded even after Judkins went down.
They had one of their best running games of the season with 160 yards on the ground. They've not done a lot of that this year.
Yeah, so I it's hard watching the game. I'm like, all right, he's moving the ball, he's taking off and running. And then I look, and obviously the two big mistakes. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the first interception. The second one, I mean, you could tell Bosa's just reading his eyes, and it felt like the Bills just kind of were dropping so many guys throughout, saying, hey, we'll probably get pressure when we need to, and eventually the young guy's going to make mistakes, and he did.
Yeah, and that's the book on him right now is apply pressure, force him to move around a little bit, force him to hold the ball. That's one area that he definitely needs to make some improvement in, is getting rid of the football. He's holding on to it entirely too long, which is creating some of these negative plays. But again, I think part of that is he's just got to keep doing it. And, he has to just get as many of those reps as possible of seeing things down the field, and also to trusting what he's seeing, because I think that he's doing a lot of mental processing in the middle of the plays as opposed to just allowing his natural instinct to take over, which he's got very good natural football instincts. He's got some of those intangibles that you want in your quarterback. They just have to refine the details of the game with him, and then I think it'll come a little more naturally for him. But I think that when he's making mistakes, it's because he's thinking about it too much, and it's tough for me to criticize that, because if he's not thinking about it, then we criticize him because, well, he's not back there thinking about what he's doing. But there is a certain level you get in this league where, Josh Allen, he's thinking about plays, but it's a faster process for him, between his ears. And I think that that's an area where Shador can get better. And if he does, I really think there's something with this kid. I don't know if he's the answer. I don't know if he's the franchise guy, but there's something there that's absolutely worth exploring from a talent perspective.
Daryl Ryder joining us on the show. Well, I'm open-minded to, really, I've said I'm going to try to be open-minded to either side. But I'm more open-minded towards Shador after yesterday, because I don't need to see the big Isaiah Bond throws and things like that. I wanted to see them move the offense. I want to see him make the right decision. Your wide receivers are not good. So you know what? The right decision, check down underneath.
Right.
If I can't trust him to come down with it, if I can't trust him to go make a tough catch, then I'm going to throw the ball underneath. And so that's what he did, and that's what I was fine with. If he's just trying to whip the ball all over the field, I can go get any goofball to do that. I wanted to see a guy make better decisions, and that's why I understand. Like, there was the tip ball that I think sometimes he gets a little easy on some of those, like, underneath screens, touch passes, things like that. I think that's going to come with time. I think the Quinn Sean, I think that he was hurried and he thought it was open, and then he threw it too late.
And also a little too much heat on it, too.
Well, it was hot and it was high. I mean, there was a lot of things that if he would have just seen it a half second early, we're not talking about any of that.
Yeah, and they were better on third down yesterday, 8 of 14.
They were much better, yes. That first drive, in the first drive, I'm like, okay, I know it's scripted, but it's like he has a grasp of the offense now more than he ever has. And I think he's learning, and I am open-minded to him more after yesterday, even in a loss, even with the 2 picks, because of all those things.
Yeah, and Buffalo's a playoff team. Buffalo's a team that you think can compete for the Super Bowl, and Shador had the Browns right there. Almost 300 yards in offense yesterday. It helped that they had a good running game to support things, but there's a lot to like here. It's just unfortunate that when it mattered most, he was not at his best there in the fourth quarter. But again, I feel like more time on task, as he likes to say, that'll help him be better in those situations.
All right, Daryl. So, given the circumstances of where this team is right now, are you assuming that Stefanski's gone in a couple of weeks? I'm guessing yes.
Yeah, I do feel like that they can't run this back, and the changes are on the way. I am still firm in my belief, though, that if you do fire Kevin Stefanski, you need to fire Andrew Berry. Andrew Berry bought the groceries, and the groceries are foul. He had a team that was built to win consistently, and he ruined it. He wasted Nick Chubb. He wasted Joel Bitonio. He wasted Myles Garrett. He's wasted Denzel Ward. He wasted Wyatt Teller. He's wasted this window. So why does he get the opportunity to continue? So that's where I'm at. If you want to keep both, fine. I get it. Whatever. But I am not on board with this one or the other. I did not like that report over the weekend that Andrew Berry is going to have tremendous say in the fate of Kevin Stefanski. That's not how this should work. Andrew Berry's been buying the groceries here, and he put together the worst wide receiver room in the National Football League. He's the one that wanted Deshaun Watson. And then things got down the track so far that ownership really had no other choice but to say, you better go ahead and get that done because we have no other recourse at this point. But he's the one that wanted Deshaun. So he needs to wear the majority of that disaster. The offensive line is in shambles. That's Andrew Berry's fault. So why does this guy get to keep his job? But we're sitting here only talking about firing Kevin Stefanski because we don't like how Kevin's managed things. I think they're a package deal. They should be a package deal. If you're going to keep them, then keep them and give them 2026. Again, I understand it. I don't know how you sell it to fans, but I'd understand it. But this idea that Kevin Stefanski all of a sudden becomes the scapegoat of this thing, when, by the way, everybody's got their hand in the cookie jar telling him what to do, who to play, and all this other nonsense that goes on. So, no, it needs to be a package deal. They either stay or they both go.
Daryl Ryder, brought to you by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. So, I think it's actually more possible that Shador is given the full year next year if Andrew Berry is retained. Do you agree or do you disagree, and then why?
I think that there's going to be just too much pressure to draft a quarterback. They're looking at a top 3 pick right now. you guys know where I stand. I'm all about using those first-round picks to fill in the many holes that this roster has that Andrew Berry created.
Like quarterback?
Yeah, well, quarterback's one of them, but offensive line, wide receiver. You know, we joked about them drafting 2 quarterbacks and 2 running backs last April. They need to basically repeat the process this year, but with offensive linemen and wide receivers. And, oh, by the way, Andrew Berry, not real good at drafting offensive linemen and wide receivers. So, again, I don't know that I feel all that great about that. He's also not all that great with the quarterback thing because he's had 13 of them in this building under Kevin Stefanski, and there hadn't been a whole lot of production from that position group either. So the 3 key problems that the offense has, you're going to allow Andrew Berry to continue to do what he's done, and that's just mess it up royally?
Well, he's never taken a wide receiver in the first round.
No, he hasn't, but every other receiver he's drafted hasn't really produced on a consistent basis. Of course, he's taking him in the third round thinking that he's going to strike gold at that position. You kind of, I don't know, might want to think about taking him earlier in the draft.
Damn, Daryl.
Daryl, what did you think of the half sack that was retroactively awarded?
Yeah, Daryl, what'd you think of
Myles
that?
Garrett?
I guess that was a dealer's choice situation for the official score there. Mason Graham at least touched Josh Allen on that play. I honestly still do not understand that particular scoring of it, but whatever. It's small potatoes compared to the problems that the Browns had. So I'm not going to begrudge Myles getting an additional half sack, even if I don't understand why they scored it the way they did. But him and Alex Wright sharing that sack, and so now next week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, if he's able to get a sack, he becomes the all-time single-season sack king.
I know I'll get a chance to talk to you next week as well. I'll get a chance to talk to you every Monday after these games, actually. Do you already you don't need to name names. Do you already have a list of guys you'd be interested in to take over the job as head coach?
No, I have a list of guys that I'm not interested in taking over.
Oh, that's way easier to do. Come on.
Oh, yeah, well, but that's where you got to start. You got to process of elimination.
No,
not
I think you
interested
start
in
with
that
who
guy.
you
Not
want.
interested in that guy. I think that if they make changes, unfortunately, Ken, it's just going to be another unproven coordinator, dude, because they're going to want somebody that's willing to come in and collaborate and listen and do what they're asked to do at times. And I kind of feel like that's one of many issues at the heart of the Browns' problems. That, yes, you do need organizational collaboration. You do need the head coach and the general manager to be on the same page. But also at the same time, I feel like the head coach needs to decide who plays and is in 100% control over game day. And, that because then you really can hold their feet to the fire. I just don't feel like with the way the Browns are set up, I don't think Kevin's been able to do that. I think that there's some things that he's blamed for, like going for 2. Well, no, that's what the spreadsheet told him to do. He's just following the organizational plan there. The front office hadn't given him the players to execute said plan on the spreadsheet, but you know what I mean? Like it's little things like that. And so I'll be honest with you, I don't even know if a head coaching change solves the problems. That's the biggest problem with the situation that the Browns are in right now. Yeah, okay, fire Kevin Stefanski, give the fans the pound of flesh that they're looking for. Great. But who's the guy that's going to come in and do a better job? Right? Who's going to win more games with the offense that he's been offensive players that he was given to work with? No offensive line, no wide receivers, and no quarterback. Yeah, good luck with that. Like Kevin has his faults. He has his flaws, and I'm not arguing that. And it's hard to defend him at times. But also at the same time, I think need to take a step back and just like look at what this guy's been given to work with. And like, what did you expect, right? He blew the Minnesota game. Time management was awful in that game. Absolutely, he owns that. I'm sure there's a couple of things yesterday we could point that to Kevin's fault, and maybe that would have helped them beat the Bills instead of losing by 3. But like I said, man, it's easy to scapegoat him right now, and I kind of feel like that's what the Browns are about to do, and I don't think it's right or fair.
All right, Daryl, I'll see you in hell. Thank you very much for the time.
All right, meet you there, Ken.
Daryl Ryder, brought to you by Kayla. Tell everybody.
Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Outstanding, my friend. All right, coming up next, 5 minutes. I want to get back into the Shador thing. Has he done enough? But also, you're not booing Dylan Gabriel when you boo Dylan Gabriel. I'll explain at 8:42 on The Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here for Classic Chevy and Mentor and Classic Honda.
Hanged up.
Got a bloody nose.
Shador's going to the locker room. All right, Dillon Gabriel is in. 3rd and goal on the 4. 13-7, Browns are down. Gabriel is your quarterback. He's going to go shotgun. Judkins is the back. Corley motions left to right into a 2x2. 3rd and goal. Here's the snap. Looking right. Coming back left. Gabriel runs and he's tackled from behind. Greg Rousseau got him around the ankles. And on comes Andre Schmidt.
So this is going to be mental gymnastics. But I think it's worth doing it. I think it's worth getting up on the pommel horse for this. You're booing Dillon Gabriel, but I don't think you're booing Dillon Gabriel when you're at the game. I think they're booing Kevin Stefanski when Dillon Gabriel comes out there.
I don't know. They've had all game to boo Kevin Stefanski. They waited until Dillon Gabriel came on the field to boo.
I know that, but he's not the one calling plays. So can you boo that anymore? He's not calling the plays. So if you boo, nobody knows what you're booing at. And the game's competitive. So why are you booing?
It was weird. I got to say, it was bizarre.
It was bizarre.
That was not a good moment for Browns fans that were there.
Okay. Here comes Lima shaming everybody.
Well,
yeah. Are you just not going to come to the game next week because you're afraid they're going to boo him if he goes out there?
Because it doesn't make sense. In no scenario does it make sense to boo the quarterback coming in for the injured quarterback that leaves when the quarterback coming in has been nothing but, from all accounts, a great teammate, a great person. He's never said anything bad about Shador or anybody.
They're not booing him. They're booing Kevin.
They were booing Dillon Gabriel.
They're not booing Dillon Gabriel.
This is mental gymnastics. You even admitted it.
I even said that, yes, but I'm telling you what it is. They're not booing him. They're booing the idea of Dillon Gabriel because it's it's seen as Kevin Stefanski's pick. He has seen as Kevin Stefanski's pick. That's why they're booing Dillon Gabriel when he comes in. I will re-screen the calls. I'm just going to, you don't need to re-screen them. I'm just going to go to you folks right now. Tell me I'm wrong. I think I'm right. Because you just said it. There's no reason why Browns fans should hate Dillon Gabriel.
But they seem to hate Dillon Gabriel.
But they seem to. And there's no reason they should really be booing him when he comes in.
Also, we saw him play with the very limited set of circumstances that Shador, and it's been bad. All three quarterbacks this year. Like, my question is, if Joe Flacco would have came in,
okay, they wouldn't have booed Joe.
Well, so wait a second. Come on here.
Joe has been to the playoffs, so they wouldn't have booed Joe. They might have booed Kenny. No, they might not have booed Kenny Pickett.
I don't know.
Oh, Nathan says this. I think the Brands were booing the thought of being on the goal line and Stefanski pull the quarterback for another harebrained play. You know what? They don't know what's going on in the stands.
They're not watching Shador walk with trainers.
They just watch Shador come off the field. They can't. Once you get there to the sidelines, they're all wearing brown. Mm-hmm. He might just mix in with the other people wearing brown. If you're up in the 537, I don't know if you're going to see number 12 down there.
I'll hear this. I don't know what they showed on the Jumbotron or anything.
Nathan Reed might have something there. I have one of his
because we know they have
one of his Browns victory cigars.
They have pulled Shador before near the goal line.
Yeah, and I think that might have been damn it. That's probably a good point. That might make a little bit more sense.
I'd like to know from the people that were there.
I just don't believe Browns fans hate Dillon Gabriel. I just think they hate that he was drafted in the 3rd round, that he already looks like a waste.
Yeah.
That they could have drafted a wide receiver, and that wide receiver probably would have been a waste because we're talking about Andrew Berry here. But they might have drafted a wide receiver. They might have drafted another guy in the secondary. They might have drafted an offensive lineman. No, they took a guy who you came out day one, and it's like, yeah, we see this guy being a career backup. Oh, we don't need starters now. On the 3-win team. We don't need guys and 3rd-round guys don't always start the season, but they can't be developed into starters. Okay. So that's what I thought. Nathan might have a hell of a point. Let me get to the phones here. Craig in Akron, he goes right to the front of the line. Hello, Craig. Are they booing Dillon Gabriel? Are they booing the idea of Dillon Gabriel from Kevin Stefanski, or do you think that they were booing because they thought they were just taking Shador off the field?
They absolutely are booing Dillon. They feel insecure of him. You say one good thing about Dillon online, you got 500 people.
That's the internet. This is real life. That's the internet. This is real life. These are real Browns fans.
Those are people, not AI, not robots. They hate Gabriel. That's just what it is.
Who's not AI and who's not robots?
Well, I mean, you got real life people. They have to type it. I mean, you could say the same thing about a phone.
Okay, but it could be so. It could be. No, I think that half of them are bots, and I think half of them are people that don't even live in. Aren't even Shador fans that live here. I really find a lot of it to be hocus pocus to me. I think I'm looking at real Browns fans, people in the stadium. Now, it was a lot of red, white, and blue yesterday. I don't think they're booing him because of what they read on Twitter. I think very few of those people care about anything being written on Twitter.
I mean, people love Shador, and they just feel insecure of Gabriel. That's basically what it is.
Well, there's nothing to be insecure about. He's not, I don't know. I've seen...
They're not going to make him the starter.
Now,
They're not starting 2026 with him.
Is this part of what makes it hard next year if they were to draft a quarterback number 2 overall or trade up at number 1 overall, that there's a vocal portion of the fan base that does, even if it's still the minority viewpoint, that those people love Shador and only care about Shador. They don't really care. They're not invested in the Browns' success. They're only in it for Shador. And anytime that Shador is not on the field.
If you're at the stadium during a 3-11 season, and if you're at the stadium during 3-11 and you're surrounded by a bunch of Bills fans, you're not just there to be with 20 degrees outside. You're not just there to see Shador. You're a Browns fan. Mm-hmm. So those are Browns fans that are booing. And I think I think that it's so much more believable of what Nathan and AJ and Zach are saying to me on social media, even though I just said social media isn't real. I think it's more that, or they're mad at Stefanski for even drafting the guy than they are booing Dylan Gabriel. I think that that's more the case.
I just think we're to the point where we don't need to boo it at all. Like, it's the end of the season. We're bad. Shador left with trainers. I mean, our fans are... I thought these were savvy fans that could kind of see, all right, he's walking off with trainers. Like, what are they looking at? It's pretty obvious that something had happened. And plus, there was a break.
I don't think it was that obvious.
There was a break in the action before, wasn't there?
No.
Because the trainers came out to get him.
No, I don't remember it being that way. I thought he just trotted off. I don't think there was that much of a break at all. I thought he just trotted off.
I would assume they're following all of Shador's moves no matter what he's doing.
Well, when you're out there, you're watching 12, but I think people just saw 12 jog off the field, and people were mad thinking that they took him off the field in the red zone, is what I think they thought they were seeing.
Wasn't he on the ground for a while?
No.
They showed the replay of it. He had people standing around
him. He wasn't laying there. I didn't think that. All right, let me go back to the phones here.
Do people not bring binoculars to the games anymore?
Kevin,
when you're in the 537 section, you got to have binoculars.
Kevin in Brimfield. They got a very nice shopping center in Brimfield. I think you'd like it. Hello, Kevin.
Hello. Yeah, so we're in 347, and we're on the opposite end zone. They're heading towards a dog pound, and we're like, what is going on? Why are they taking Shador out and putting Gabriel back in? And we thought it was maybe a gadget play or something like that, but I had no clue until I jumped on Twitter that he has a laceration on his pinky. And, so naturally, my first thought was they're trying something stupid.
No one around you has the radio feed in their ears?
Something stupid.
Well, everyone around me were Buffalo Bills fans because there's about 90% Bills fans.
What was it like yesterday? Were they fun? Were they jerks? What were they? And what was the percentage?
It was almost like a big kid versus little kid. You're going to lose. They know they're going to win, and we're just there to take the beating. And surprisingly, I dread. I'm a season ticket holder for 8 years, and I dread going to every single game. But
my God,
I do. I really do. And my son, my 13-year-old son, we take 2 of his buddies every game, and I asked my son 3 weeks ago. I said, "Are you done yet?" And he said, "No, I'm not done yet, Dad. I don't care if they win or lose. I enjoy going."
That's nice. At least he spends time with his father. Miserable, but still.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin. Thank you very much for the call. Tone, I went back and watched this. There's no trainers out on the field with him. You can see him on the slow motion because he throws it to Brennan Bates.
Yeah.
And it's a wobbler. And at first when you see it, like, oh God, he didn't get a good rip on that. Well, then you see his finger and you realize why. He looks at his finger and he jogs off, and then he's going to the sidelines. So people are just seeing and they got the blue 10 up.
Yeah,
I think that maybe some people just thought they were taking him off the field. and that they were going to do something else during the red zone.
I assumed in 2025 that people are immediately on their phones, on Twitter. Immediately, they're hearing it on the radio call if they've got it in their head, and then that gets communicated pretty quickly. You don't think so?
No.
This isn't 1985.
Anthony, I've been in the stadium for the games. It doesn't happen that quickly in the stands. The only thing that I think that people know before anybody knows on TV is who's eligible when they bring in heavy sets. That's it. But anything else like that going on, like they don't know before us. Television usually knows way before anybody else on stuff like that.
Yeah, but you can even hear Andrew. Andrew is all over it right there.
Because they're looking up at the monitor and they can see the monitor of him coming off the field.
I know. I'm saying that guys are hearing.
You're saying it. I'm telling you what the truth is.
I see a lot of people when I go to Browns games that have their earplugs. I mean, their headphones on or whatever.
Again, it's not okay, but it's still not 1987. There's not that many people with headphones on listening, and nobody's taking off their headphones looking at the stage. No, guys, that's not the situation. They're not yelling at the rest of their section of what the situation is.
But to boo that quickly does seem...
Because they thought he was taking him off the field or they were booing Kevin Stefanski for the thought of him.
Greg on social media, don't make excuses for the fans. They were booing Dylan Gabriel. It was a disgraceful look.
Oh, God.
You didn't see the Ravens fans booing Tyler Huntley last night when Lamar got hurt. Heath Weber, sorry, Ken Carman. Sports with Tony is right. It's weird.
Well, it's not the most normal thing I've ever seen.
It's the second time they've done it, too, this year.
It is the second time they've done it. But I don't think they're booing Dylan Gabriel. I think that it was the first thought. If you want to sit there and try to call Browns fan disgraceful, go ahead, but I don't think that was the reason. I mean, he's been taken off the field a lot in the red zone. I think a lot of people thought he was being taken off the field in the red zone again, and they were going, what the hell? Leave him on the field during the red zone. We got to see this too. 216-474-0092. I'm going to get to you guys on this. There's lots of people want to get on this. There's always some little thing that happens. I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, that's a hand injury.
It was just so loud.
But there's always something. Oh, it was visceral booing. I will give you that. There was a lot of rage in the booing. And that might have been the reason. Like, what the bleep are you doing taking him off the field? They've taken him off the field so many times in the red zone, Tone. And I think fans were like, what are you doing? Come on. Leave him out there. And they didn't realize that he was injured. He got that finger figured out because, boy, that was a wobbler they threw to Bates. That should have been a nice completion. So definitely that finger was messed up. All right, I'm going to get to you guys on this. And should both be gone? And maybe I set my bar a little bit too low. This last hour is going to be packed. We're going to get a lot of action in here. Ken Carman, Tone Master General, take us with you to work if you haven't already. 92.3 The Fan extra on the 92.3 The Fan on the free Odyssey app and YouTube Live. It's absolutely free. That's a lot of entertainment for nothing, friends. Ken Carman here for K&K Heating and Cooling. You're cold. They make warm. It's that simple. It's like back in the old
It's the Browns preview show, followed by Monday Night Football. It all starts tonight at 7 o'clock right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Whenever you need to talk about the Browns, we got you covered. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
We are still fighting this out. We're on the air, by the way. Headphones back on. We are still fighting this out. Dude, he jogs off the field. I think fans just thought he was out. I think fans just thought Shador was coming off the field, and as so many people were doing, I cannot tell you the amount of calls and the amount of people who are tweeting us going, we just thought the Browns were doing something stupid. They have no
There is one way to solve this.
What?
Announce Dylan Gabriel as the starting quarterback next week as part of the introductions.
Oh, God, I'll see you in hell.
And then if they boo him, then we'll know. Easy. And then you don't have to really start him. This is just to answer this argument.
I'm not. We got media people sending us. I'm not watching your movies. Speaking of media people, my buddy Josh, who he covers sports as like a side gig, you know, because he has a very good job what he does, and he tweeted at us, and he's like, "Oh, if I'm at a game, I immediately look to see." I'm like, "Yeah, that you cover sports. They don't. They're just sitting in the 300s." And they're going, oh, here we go. We're gonna outsmart ourselves again. We're gonna do something stupid again. So I think they saw Dylan Gabriel come out. They didn't understand why. You don't know right off the rip. I disagree. I think that they were either booing the idea of I don't mean to borrow a phrase from someone else. The idea of Dylan Gabriel they were booing because of Stefanski, or they were booing it because they thought that they were just trying to outsmart themselves in the red zone again.
Brian on X says the fan base had embarrassingly cheered a quarterback's season-ending injury. Absolutely booed Gabriel because it's him.
May I ask a question?
What?
I tried looking up the play during the game, like when he got hurt. Was it a third down or a fourth down?
What?
Was it a third down or a fourth down that he got hurt?
Well, what does that got to do with it?
Well, because everybody is tired of Stefanski
It was third
kicking
down. It was third down.
like field goals. Maybe they thought that they were taking him off and he was going to kick a field goal.
No, it's third down. So they had to run another play.
That's why I was asking.
Yeah. So it was going to be him. If they were going for it on fourth down with Dylan Gabriel, I think the fans might have came out of the stands on that one.
That's true.
Good God Almighty! You thought the last game in '95 was bad? Oh God! 216-474-0092. Jay in North Ridgeville, my former neighbor. You're next up on the Fan. Hello, Jay.
Hey, Ken.
Hi.
I was just calling to add in. My dad was at the game.
Okay.
And he had no idea Sanders was hurt. I had to text him because he was like texting me frustrated. He was like, not to be negative, but he was like, are they trying to lose doing something different? So I think you're right that it was the idea of something different happening. And I had to text him and tell him like, no, his finger got really cut up, and he was like, don't send me that. It sounds gross.
It was gross. It looked nasty. So he got it. Jay, thank you very much, by the way. I appreciate that's the type. I think there's so many situations in Jay's situation where there were a lot of people they didn't know. They don't know these things right off. There's things we know about earlier in the stadium. There's things we know about way later. I think that's one of them you know way later.
It was a preemptive boo.
A preemptive boo of what? No. People booed. Get the audio ready. I'm going to tell you how it went emotionally. You can, and by the way, you guys can bring up
Siciliano was not happy on the radio call.
You guys can bring up Watson all you want. That was a different situation, and that is a totally different situation. Okay, I'm going to defend fans because I didn't think that the fans were nasty that day. The most of them, I didn't think were nasty that day, and I don't think the fans are. I think the fans were a little bit misguided yesterday because they thought the situation was different. Okay, they were misinformed, not Here it is. Go ahead, hit the clip now.
Dylan Gabriel's got his helmet on as well.
Yeah,
Shador's out. Dylan Gabriel's coming in, guys.
Okay, now
Shador
they're booing
Sanders
just because they're seeing him come in, so they think that Shador is not hurt. They don't know Shador's hurt. Here's the boo.
And some boos coming down as well. Guys, be nice.
So this is us in the 537 going, typical Stefanski. He's outsmarting himself. Here we go. That's what they're booing. Now let's see the play.
Dylan Gabriel is in, 3rd and goal on the
Still
floor.
booing.
13-7, Browns are down.
They're
Gabriel
anticipating
is your
this.
quarterback. He's going to go shotgun.
Here we go.
Judkins is the back. Corley motions.
Here we
left
go.
to right into a 2-by-2. 3rd and goal. Here's the snap. Looking right. Coming back left. Gabriel runs and he's tackled from behind.
So they don't know Shador's hurt, and so they see Dylan Gabriel go out there. They're mad about that, and then it goes the exact way they thought it was going to go. And there's no time for them to look and see him. Like, it happens very quickly. So you're not watching the sidelines, Anthony. You're watching the red zone. You're watching what's going on. The team's about to score. Everybody watches people with the ball. They can't be looking at the side. There might have been some people looking for the sideline, but they're watching the game. And so they just see Dylan Gabriel come out there, what the hell's going on? And then Dylan Gabriel does what everybody expected Dylan Gabriel to do, which was not put the ball in danger and just basically take a sack, and then that was the end of it, and people got mad. There you go.
Looks like people are divided online.
I think there's plenty of people.
So we are at a crossroads. And there's obviously a huge element of the fan base that can't stand anything Dylan Gabriel. As if he's been some nasty, nasty guy since he's been here. It's like, it's not his fault. Nothing that happened was his fault.
You want me to go line 6?
Go ahead.
You go line 6. The Jeff Phelps special. Todd in Ward 1. You're next up on the fan. Hello, Todd.
Ken Lima. So it's reasonable to take this into consideration. A lot of those people that booed Gabriel were drunk and high. So they might have booed pretty much anything.
And everybody knows when you're drunk and high, it doesn't count.
Well, a whole lot of those folks were drunk and high. Maybe you should have looked at the concession stands beer sales before you said they were booing anybody other than them just being discontent in general. I'm in the group that says Gabriel has not got enough play yet for people to be trying to rule him out. I wanted to get that on air.
Gabriel?
Rule him out of what?
Rule him out of where?
I think Gabriel could play, and he may outplay Sanders next year.
For the Cleveland Browns?
And no, I'm not drunk and high. Let's be clear on that.
Are you sure you're not drunk and high at 9 a.m. on a Monday? Are you sure? You really believe this, Todd?
I really do. No further comment. I'll talk to you later.
Everybody needs somebody. Someone just drove down Huron Road with the door open there. 216-474-0092. Jeff and Chesterland, real quick. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. I think they were booing Dylan Gabriel. They booed him before when he got hurt.
Hell no,
they'll boo him again.
And they, are we like the leaders of the fans booing players? It happened to Couch, happened to Derek Anderson.
Well, what's crazy is in this case, like I get the frustrations in the past. You could be like, well, they're booing the offense. They're booing. It's a symbol of the offense. In this case, like Dylan Gabriel's been like the nicest dude ever. He doesn't have baggage. He's like the Watson thing we've been over to death. This isn't some guy that has, cost the Browns in big moments. This is probably a guy who should never been drafted in the 3rd round.
They were booing him, and they were booing everything. They weren't happy at all.
They just boo.
That's boo.
I'm not happy about any of this. I do see,
like, guys, these are the games where the people that can go to the games, because it's the holidays, you've got a lot of college kids home. It's not the same crowd that you would get early in the year, plus the takeover by the other team's fans. So there's no doubt. You bring the Bills to the stadium, nobody's thinking playoffs. We're done. All of that is over. So it's almost like a novelty act.
Did anybody go to the game, actually want to go to the game yesterday? Because what are the calls on? I mean, you got that one guy, Kevin, who basically is like he's doing community service. And then you got Jeff,
I'm a season ticket holder. I don't even want to go to the games.
Any fun. You had the one guy who called in from Ridgeville, Jay, whose dad was there. He wasn't having any fun.
What'd you think overall? By the way, I think we had a slight disagreement on the phone yesterday. I said, Kenny, I always love to ask Ken. I go, after almost every game, I go, did you enjoy that game? And
I did.
I said I thought it was kind of a snooze fest.
I know.
And I think part of it was
I enjoyed it, but my bar was this wasn't what I teased.
Part of it was offensively, like they moved the ball, but it was like once Judkins went down, it was a running back that's probably not going to figure in prominently in the future of the Browns. It's a lot of screens. It's a lot of dink and dunks. I'm not saying those were bad decisions at all. I think he made one tight window throw yesterday, and it's like, I need to see Shador for a full evaluation, and I know he can throw a screen pass. I know 1,000 quarterbacks can throw a screen pass. So I got to say, it was so weird to have a Josh Allen game where whatever was left of his receiving core, they were dropping any of the good passes he had down the field. They had a touchdown that was dropped. They had another one where the tight end dropped one down the field that was perfectly placed. And I'm like, this game's kind of boring.
I just held it up for the YouTube. I enjoyed it because I got to finish all my whole notes.
Which you haven't been able to do
the entire game. Yeah. And so I questioned whether or not to take notes for this game because I knew I wasn't going to be able to take notes for next week. Well, now I might because you're going to abandon us. So I don't even know if this is going to get off the ground. But I got my notes and I didn't waste my time taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
I questioned whether or not I should, and I was like, okay, fine. You know what? You don't need to lower your standard. Take your notes, write your thoughts and everything like that, and then you can use it later. And you know what? It ended up being worth it. Like Malachi Corley had a good 31-yard return. Did you like that?
Yeah.
On the kickoff. I wrote that in the notes.
It was amazing.
Store that away for a rainy day. Huh?
I felt that we could run the ball on them and that there were all these lanes in the short to intermediate that were open.
Yeah.
They were giving it. We were taking it. And yet we still somehow only ended up with those 2 touchdown drives. And it felt like the Bills defense was just ready to be gashed throughout. And the fact that we only put up 20 points, I was a little annoyed by.
What feeling do you immediately get? You're probably right. My bar was terribly low. Like I think a lot of people probably felt the way you did because there was no really explosive plays at all. And I mean, it's an entertainment business.
The screenplays were explosive in nature, but it's a screenplay.
You know what I'm talking exactly.
Yeah.
I liked it, but I think my bar again was wide. I just want to write notes the entire game and remain interested in it the entire game. Can I ask you another question here that really is more important to talk about than people booing Dylan and everything like that? What's your first feeling you get if you hear that Andrew Berry's coming back and Kevin Stefanski isn't? I don't know anybody on the phones or online or anywhere that feels good about that.
Nobody?
No. I'm not getting it. And even I question it because I'm going, man, it's been a rough 6 years here drafting. I mean, 1 out of 5 is still, it's not great. It's not great. 1 out of 5. And then you're putting, guys, we're getting close to complete rebuild in so many places. And we say, well, we need this. Put more pressure on them to get these picks right next year. Like, does it almost feel, I got to ask people, this is a big question, not just for a week 15 or whatever it is against, after Buffalo. This is a big time question you have to ask yourself. Does one draft mean you trust him enough? If you were already like on the, like questioning, and I like Andrew personally, but I just got to be honest with everybody here. This makes me have confidence in the future other than hope. Because I think we're hoping more than we are expecting. There's so many things that you have to fix. We're thinking he's going to get those right. That's going to happen. Maybe it took 5 years to get the process down about drafting guys. Maybe that's it. Maybe it took 5 years to be able to scout guys the right way, and we are on our way to an embarrassment of riches here. But do you believe in this philosophy in terms of getting players? Because there are guys they've taken. They do have talent, but are they the right fit for the type of football team you want? Because that line of thinking, hey, you can switch out the head coach. But that line of thinking isn't going away. The process-driven sort of, or the data-driven, I should say, instead of data-informed, as somebody tweeted to us earlier, that's not going away. That means that's driven. That means you're going to get guys who might pop off the page when it comes to what they do in tests, but are they going to do anything on the field? You got to seriously consider that. Because this might be a much bigger issue than we're making about it. Like, I think some people might just go, yeah, you need a new head coach. You're going to get a new head coach. Okay. I think there's a lot more people out there going, well, you're only going to switch half? So what type of coach are we going to get? Are we just going to get more of the same? Because if you're going to make a switch, you make a switch. You don't make a switch, get more of the same.
You also want a strong head coach. And I just can't imagine them. And I don't. We're going to have to go over the names. And you've got the envelope.
Are we getting quality people, or are we just trying to preserve our power? But that is another concern that a Browns fan should have.
Yeah, and we said coaches that win 6 games in 2 years lose their job almost 100% of the time. So do GMs. GMs always lose their job when that is the case. especially when it looks like there was no long-term planning at some critical positions.
Well, who also encouraged to go out and get Deshaun Watson, who's turned into a complete and utter mess. Hey, I know who guaranteed it, but who was the idea in the first place? Well, if it was that idea in the first place, then we're not holding people accountable then. And if we're still doing more of the same, what are you going to do? Now, I've seen some of the decisions, and even though I disagree with some of them, I would say that he's done what he believes is in the best case of the franchise and not to preserve his own power. Talking about Andrew. But this would be a concerning thing because somebody else from seeing this from the outside, remember, Kevin is well thought of in NFL circles, no matter how little you think of him in Cleveland. As mad as you are, Kevin is still very well thought of in NFL circles. You heard, I'm going to point this out. I know we got to go to break. Give me a couple minutes here. Mike Tomlin, I believe in that press conference, spoke on Kevin's behalf. Mike Vrabel, the trick plays, I think he's telling you he ain't got nothing to work with. I think that he was speaking on Kevin's behalf. You heard Bruce Arians speak about this team and about what this team is. And he's been critical of Kevin Stefanski on the other side of that. So you have a couple of differing opinions there. But you have people in this league who still think very highly of Kevin Stefanski, who think that this is an organizational thing. It's not necessarily Kevin. And they might end up being wrong about all this. But whoever's coming in, they're going to have that thought process of, I got to fix this whole thing, and I can't let what happened to Kevin happen to me. And if you're going to leave in half of those people, you already have that argument set up for you. You'll have your introductory press conference, and everything will be kumbaya, and he'll win. Whoever they get it will probably win the press conference, even though it's going to show guys who don't win the press conference end up winning later on. He'll probably end up winning the press conference, but you know as a Browns fan, you have to have that in the back of your head going, was this made for preserving power, or is this something that's going to turn into another bleep show where this guy's going to come in and have to usurp power from Andrew Berry, and then we're already set a draft behind, because the reason you would take power away from Andrew Berry in 2027 is because 2026 didn't go so well. That's a very scary thought. Because the one thing you can't have happen as a Browns fan, you do not want more of your time wasted. You've already had enough. 216-474-0092. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. My bar might be very low on something else. Live on the Fan. Ohio, talking to you. Northeast Ohio.
Welcome to Free Range with Von Miller, where nothing is off limits and every down counts. New episodes every Wednesday. Listen and follow Free Range with me, Von Miller, wherever you get your podcast.
When you want the latest on the Cavs, we're the station you turn to first. 92.3 The Fan is Cleveland's home for breaking sports news. Your teams, your station.
Did that make sense to you at the end of that segment, what I was saying?
Of course.
Okay, I'm making sure, because I think you need to be very concerned about that. Like, it's not just a celebrate Kevin is gone thing for fans if they just move on from Kevin and they keep Barry. I got to see how this thing plays out. Like, there are a couple of names. I'm going to tell you right now. I find a couple of these guys more leaders than men. I find guys that when I bring out the list ain't long, because I don't think anybody should go, we're firing our coach. Here's 12 different guys that we could. No, you got to have an idea who you can hone in on of what you want. I've seen situations, even in high school, we're letting go of our head coach. We're going to ask for his resignation. Yeah, who do you got? Well, we got about a dozen different guys. No, that's not good. So don't even do it there, and certainly don't do it in the NFL. And so I got a list, and my list is like 3 guys. I mean, I think there's 6. It's been such a long time since I've done the list. Like, there's 6 altogether, but I think there's like 3 guys I actually highlighted. Like, these are the 3 guys that I would want. And most of them are leader of men type of guys that I think would do a fine job, given that you still got a lot you got to build. I don't believe you're going to take Mendoza next year. Don't take Mendoza next year. You're going to have some work to do. This is not going to be a Jaden Daniels type of situation here. I don't believe so. So you got a lot of things that you got to get worked out on this football team here. And it just ain't going to happen overnight. And you need to get your culture set is what you need to do. And we're going to have to hire smart people to know. Like, you have to finally meld. It can't just be all guts like it was with John. It can't all be nothing but scores and nothing but nothing but test scores and nothing but measurables and things like that, like it was at the beginning of all this. You got to mix it. And that's what I'm hoping for in this next generation of guys. You have guys now who are in their late 30s, mid 30s, early 40s, who are possibilities for these jobs. And I'm not just talking head coach. I'm talking guys throughout their, either in the front office, or guys who are scouting, or guys who have major roles in the front office, like an assistant GM, things like that. And then guys on your coaching staff who have been in this business now for a while and have seen the very best of putting it all together. Not just being more analytically driven or guts driven, but actually doing it together the right way it's supposed to be done. You can't do this thing on gut feelings anymore. It's embarrassing if you did. You can't do this thing, as we've seen, on just analytics anymore. It's embarrassing if you do, because you either put together a team of guys that can't play the position to a high level, or you put a team of guys that cannot play together because there is no guts in there. You have to have a mix of both. And that's where I'm at the head coaching spot. If they were to get rid of Andrew Barrett, now I'll admit, have I done a whole lot of GM looking around? No. That's you. You think coaching, hiring talk is boring? It's
because we don't.
GM is way worse.
That's because we don't know who around the league is considered top scouts, top personnel guys. That's stuff that isn't really talked about. The coaching stuff, there's a lot of hypotheticals on coaches who haven't been a head coach. But if we're also looking at coaches who have been head coaches before, then we're going to have a little more to work with.
And the only people you can really look at are the lists that are compiled by the insiders, and you don't even know whether or not to trust the insiders anymore.
Like they're being pushed by agents.
Because you don't know if they're just being pushed by agents, which 95% of the time there are. I mean, there's been some stuff.
Like maybe Kevin, too.
But that's true, but there has been some stuff written even about some of these players here over the last couple of weeks. I'm going, what? Not about just the Browns. You look around the league, like some of the names being touted for awards, nowhere near. Like, not even should be finalists. 216-474-0092. When it comes to Shador, I'll admit, my bar is low. And I'm not being driven by fear. I don't want to be driven by fear of what that quarterback is. Because I don't want to overcorrect. I want to remain right down the line. I came away more secure about Shador and where he could possibly go off of yesterday's performance. I thought it took a lot to bounce back, not freak out. And there were a couple of big mistakes yesterday. There certainly were. But I didn't think that he was as hesitant. I think that he made decisions better. I thought he made, now there were times, yes, that he held onto the ball because I think he felt that he needed to go down the field and get something started. But I thought for the most part, there were decisions that were made that was better. People argue about the checkdowns. I'd rather him throw a check down and live to see 2nd and 7 instead of getting sacked and making it 2nd and 17. I'd rather him throw a check down and make it 3rd and 4, and 3rd and manageable, than getting sacked and making it 3rd and 17, and then you have to just run a draw and get out of where you're at. That's what I thought he did yesterday. You talk about them being better on 3rd down. You got to get to a manageable spot on 3rd down to be better on 3rd down. And I think he knew a situation where the offensive line around me, it ain't going to be that good. Now, I can't just go and tell them they all suck because they got a block for me. This offensive line situation isn't that great. I got to make do with what I have here. And I think he did. And so I'm more encouraged after this from Shador Sanders than any deep bomb to Isaiah Bond, because that wasn't offense. This was more closer to an offense. Like, yeah, he's going to have to test defenses and stretch defenses eventually.
What
but
I'm curious,
yesterday wasn't going to be that day.
And we always find out later here in the afternoon when more of the film gurus are kind of pouring over, at least the credible guys are pouring over the All-22. What has been the
shots at people?
Well, what all of this normally has pointed to every week, which is we watch the game, we say the O-line was terrible, receivers aren't getting open. Then on the All-22, people are like, all right, the O-line was not great, but on this play, ball's got to be out. That's on him. That sack's on him. There are a lot of people that think sacks, is more of a quarterback stat than an offensive line stat. We have debated that forever when we've had the bad offensive line play. And then we had a stretch of almost a decade of pretty good offensive line play for the Browns. But now we're back into, was that one on the offensive line or was that one on the quarterback? Was that a coverage sack because receivers weren't getting open?
I want to bog it down, but are you going to the 4th and 2?
Yeah, we looked at it. Now, we didn't have the All-22. We're just seeing it from the close-up, and, it seems like one of those pet plays where that ball is expected to be out very quickly, and then left tackle just gets...
Greg Rousseau.
Yeah, Rousseau just ends any
over
thought
Cam
of it.
Robinson, and then Cam Robinson looked even worse afterwards. Like, there was...
But I feel like a 4th and 2 play where they're kind of shading over to the right. They got 3 receivers out. I'm guessing when they run that play in practice, that's a pet play where the ball is out 3 steps in, and you don't get 5 steps.
And
he did not get 5 steps.
He thought he could have done that, and there was just no chance of doing
that's
that.
That's why I'm excited to see today.
Yeah, I think
what it looked
like. I think there were so many times under the gun, and he just had to throw. I thought I saw a lot of blitzes going on yesterday. Now, I want to see a percentage. I didn't see it, but I thought there, and I wrote down blitz every time I thought I saw blitzes. And I think he threw to the blitz, and I thought that he did a reasonable job there. I thought he did a pretty good job
where the space would be vacated by somebody that's coming.
Threw to a guy that was open, and
that's doing the right thing.
Yes, and it's not going to be a recipe for winning games, but for most of your games, it's not going to be a recipe of doing that. You have to be able to stretch them out, or they're just going to think they're going to blitz you all day long. But were you not in a position to maybe do something in that football game? You were.
What I wonder when they're doing the evaluation, and again, all of this is going to be compared with whatever prospects, and right now it seems to be 2 of them that are coming out, because if you guys have looked, the Browns are sitting 3rd and will be sitting 2 if they lose this week, because 2 teams ahead of them are playing each other with the Giants and the Raiders. When you're evaluating things like the catastrophic plays, what are catastrophic plays? They're
sacks, bad sacks, 3rd down to take you out a field goal range.
They're bad intentional groundings on your own 1-yard line that could be a safety, right? They are, guys like Bosa, reading your eyes and getting their mitts on a ball that gets deflected and picked off. The catastrophic plays, how much of those are you willing to live with, right? Josh Allen has catastrophic plays all the time.
He had one yesterday.
You saw one yesterday. But when people start comparing, why is Josh Allen allowed to do that? Because I know Josh Allen's capable of winning games on his own and bringing the team down the field on his shoulders 3 straight times.
But nobody, and you're exactly right. He had catastrophic plays before he got hurt as a rookie, and he had those catastrophic plays and people were going, we're wasting our time again.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, there was a time where Josh Allen wasn't Josh Allen just yet. Even when he came here, I think it was year 2, he looked like a drunk driver throwing around out there. And it was like, he's good. He's got talent, but is he going to be that guy? And then he's become that guy.
Well, you could always see the special talent and the things that you can't find in other quarterbacks just in every draft. Yeah. And I'm sorry to say this. People get, what do you have against Shador? What do you have against Shador? I just don't see anything special yet. I see a nice deep ball when he has time to throw.
Well, there was one I saw, and I thought I highlighted it.
I'm not seeing something that can't possibly be there in this draft, the next draft, the next draft. And that's what I'm comparing it to.
I think that's harder to find. I think I hate to agree with you on that, but I think it's harder to find because I'm trying to find the one that I highlighted. I thought I highlighted it.
He had one throw to Corley on the sidelines.
That's okay.
That was awesome. That was an awesome play.
That's the one. I thought that was between 2 defenders, even 3 defenders, and I thought that was great.
But I'm watching.
Did I highlight that?
I pulled up highlights of Cam Ward yesterday. Granted, these were against bad opponents. He was going up against whatever's left of Kansas City. I watched Tyler Shook, and he went up against the Jets, bad teams. But I'm seeing a lot of nice plays too, just like out of Shador. But none of these guys are like so good that I'm like, all these teams have their quarterback situation solved, for the future. I haven't seen that out of any of them. Tyler Shook had a really nice game yesterday, though, and he is finishing very, very strong. He's still in the analytical columns, or he's only in the mid-20s. Shador is 40, 38, 39, 40. So Cam Ward is like 35, 36, 37 in all those.
I am on the record. I am much more open to Shador starting in 2026 than I was. And I'm trying to be open-minded about all of it. And I won't make a firm decision until after the college football playoff, until we get our situation figured out, because I think there's going to probably be a coaching change here. So I'm not going to stick my flag in the sand until it's time. But I came away feeling better about him yesterday. If you disagree, fine, let me have it. 216-474-0092. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Where else but 92.3 The Fan, and free on YouTube Live. All you got to do is subscribe. It's absolutely free. Get there. 92.3 The Fan on YouTube.
XTENDAV.com. Extend Technologies, where you might be running out of time, but
rinse fights stubborn odors in just one wash. When impossible odors get stuck in,
Rinse it out.
Headline sports news every 20 minutes from the University Hospital's sports desk. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
You see, that's how Kevin Stefanski should have handled his business.
Real leadership.
You should have just left the camera on during that one. See? I ain't going to be blamed for any of this. You wanted the quarterback, you got him. I'm going to be blamed for stuff you can't find for the rundowns and everything. Boy, I don't know where it's at. Boy, I delegate.
I'll tell you, regardless of whether Barry is here or not, when they are going to be doing head coaching interviews, and yes, we are acting, nothing's happened as of right now, nor do we think anything's going to happen until officially the end of the year. But conventional wisdom seems to dictate that head coach will be gone. And the same questions we are all having right now. You said at the start of the show that you're more open to Shador Sanders being the guy next year.
Hell yeah.
I stared the show saying I still think he has to do so much more.
Were you more closed about it, though?
Well, one thing is for sure, like, I'm definitely not just carving out a starting job for him next year. He would have to compete with, hate to say it, whoever's here. Hate to say it. Deshaun Watson will be here, most likely. So when coaches are interviewing for the job, when it comes open, they are going to ask the coach, what do you think of the current quarterbacks on the roster? That coach will also be asked, what do you think of the guys coming out of the draft? As we sit here, we're third. We might be 2. Well, we will be 2 if we lose to the Steelers this week. And I think we're only 3.5-point dogs.
Do you think anybody in the NFL has changed their opinions, outside of Cleveland, has changed their opinions of Shador Sanders?
In one way, yes. I do think
for the good?
Yes, I do think it is nowhere near as disastrous as I think I want to say prevailing wisdom. I'm sure not everybody was down on him.
I'm surprised you say that.
But he's been out there. He's had no problem with the plays, except for the play card. The plays, getting guys lined up. That has not been the fiasco. He doesn't just run backwards on every play. There have been some key moments in fourth quarter drives where he's taken some bad sacks. Also, not completely his fault because it's a bad offensive line. So I do think there's some wiggle room there. But I don't think anybody interviewing for the job, this is just my guess, and I don't know this to be the case. I don't think anybody is interviewing for the job telling the Browns, you've got your quarterback of the future. I just don't think any, especially with either Mendoza or more available to them potentially.
You got to go in. You can't just be trying to tell anybody what they want to hear just to get the job. If the owner absolutely wants to keep Shador Sanders, you're not just going to say that just to get the job. You need to believe in it because you might only get one crack at this thing. So if you do not believe in Shador Sanders, then you need to tell him.
Yeah, tell him.
So either you get the job or you don't get the job, and maybe it's a blessing in disguise. If you really like Shador Sanders and Jimmy is already like, nope, down with Mendoza. 6'5", down with Mendoza. He might feel that way. You better argue like crazy.
And again, when we start seeing the names that come up through a potential interview process, like, have they played against Shador this year? Have they game planned against him? What have they seen on film? Is there familiarity there? Like, all that's going to be very, very interesting to look over. Because I'm just saying, if you looked at his numbers, just numbers, and he were in any other city with any other name, Browns fans would say what? Oh, that guy's not going to be the starting quarterback
There
next
wouldn't
year.
be as much passion, but I also don't know if my mind would be as open as it is now. And I do have to argue, like, guys, I can only tell you the truth. I do have to wrestle that. I have very strong feelings. When I was a kid, I loved Deion Sanders, and so it's natural I'm going to like his son. And so I do have strong feelings of, I'm a fan, and I want it to work out with Shador, because I'm such a fan of his father. And because I don't think he's been nearly as bad as I was afraid he was going to be with everything around him coming into this situation. And so it makes me believe, gosh, if we just took care of him a little bit better, maybe he will come around and we don't have to make such an investment like we've made before. But I'm not going to be afraid to make that investment if he goes out and he just sucks up the room against Pittsburgh on Sunday, and then he were to suck up the room against Cincinnati the week after, and I have to face facts. Like, I'm still not going to do that. 216-474-0092. Also, your Cavs update brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside, who always ask you to please drink responsibly. Lima has tweeted that my pipe dream of trading Darius Garland for Derek White is getting more far-fetched by the day. White is 48, 40, 89 this month as he gets his shooting back up to form. While there's no chance the Celtics would entertain it, given Garland's health issues, and White as more of a two-way player. That's your Cavs update, brought to you by Surfside, who asks you to please drink responsibly. Let me go quickly to MK in Vermont. You're next up on the Fan. Hello, MK.
Yeah, in terms of Sanders, I'm not going to give anybody any credit or blame for him because 31 other teams had the chance to take him 5 times, and we ended up with him. So that's kind of a wash.
Well, you don't want to give anybody credit for it because, I mean, you could have just let him go by again, couldn't you?
Could have let him go by again, but if you're taking him in the 5th round, you're going to say a 5th-round quarterback is a flyer. Maybe we'll get something, maybe we won't. And so I'm not really going to give anybody any credit for a 5th-round quarterback who is kind of average at this point and might be good. Fine. I'm okay with keeping him for another season. I'm going to have a hard time flying my Browns flag if Barry gets another draft and Kevin is gone, because if I look at the whole term of events here, you had a head coach who took your team to the playoffs twice early in his tenure, which means he took them to the playoffs with somebody else's guys. But as we've had more free agents come in, more free agents leave, and more drafts, we've gotten progressively worse. That tells me that the problem is the GM rather than the head coach. And I don't think Barry should be invited to the Christmas party. I think he should have been gone. I want Ray Agnew from the Lions.
Well, we can still get together. Ray Agnew. Ray Agnew from the. Okay, MK. Thank you. Now we're getting names. That's a good call.
That's the first Ray Agnew.
Give me a name. You know what? It won't be. I thought you were going to get a Spiro Agnew before you got a Ray Agnew on this station. Okay, I'm down. They're thought partners in so many ways. Well, if you take away one of the partners, when you had fill-ins for the Road Warriors, it wasn't nearly as good. Let it be known. Okay, big thanks to everybody who joined us today. Daryl was great. We're back tomorrow, 6 to 10. For Big Country isn't here. For Jeff, for Kayla, for Michael Markoch, Ken Carman, Tone Master General. Fat and thin in the morning. Have a wonderful day, my friends. Go Browns. Go Cavs. They need it.
Sounds good.